Hello, Internet.
It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming home.
I didn't realise they actually re-released that.
Oh my god, it's so
They do
bad.
every time, don't they?
Yeah, bit embarrassing.
No, they've only done it.
to that
This is the
tune.
third time. This is the first time they've re-released it, James, since 1999.
Really?
Yeah.
It feels like they re-release it every time.
Yeah,
That's just,
yeah. Nope, that's just the common folk singing it every year.
Why did they re-release it? Are you sure it was in on 90? Was it 99? Why would it be 99?
Sorry,
I'm sure they've done it
98.
since then.
Sorry,
I was gonna say
96, then 98. Sorry, yeah, that's me being thick there. Yeah, because I remember that everyone released the first one, everyone went nuts for it. They released the second one, everyone went, I'll just play the last one again rather than this one. And then they released this one, and it's like, my word, this is absolutely. Did you only have a week to write the lyrics to this?
Yeah, some bits are like, it was a surprise. It's like, hey, quick,
It's coming home
5 p.m.
for
to write lyrics.
Hate it.
I did like Frank Skinner's line about he's got alcohol problems. I like that.
Why did you like that? I saw
It's just
that
like
bit,
out
and I
of
just thought,
nowhere. It's
Well,
totally
I
out of nowhere. I mean, not
I
out of
don't
nowhere to know him, but it's just like, okay.
very weird. Very
yeah,
weird.
yeah,
Should
the
we do a
whole
podcast?
Yeah, let's.
Yes.
Also,
Hello,
I'm
everyone
not-
in the chat. So I
Hey,
hello,
actually
everyone in the
addressed the fact there's people watching. Hi.
Hello. Does it make a difference? Do you think when we have a good old chat before we go live? Do you reckon?
Nice. Yeah,
I
like
think it changes the mood when we go live, doesn't it?
No.
Who have we got here? We've got
in a bad way.
no, in a good way. We got
I think
Lee
it's just
Morris,
a nice little
Radio
bonus
Isaac,
for people who tune in.
Scientologist, Louis P, XB Dean, Digifolio, James Farley in the chat.
Oh,
hi.
it's good. Nice that you tuned in. isn't it?
Tradition. Oh my god! Can I just? So what I do when I'm doing this, I usually have the chat up, but I pause the stream. Right.
Right.
I pause the streams so it's not distracting, and I have the chat up while we're recording, and this is the image of one particular member of TCGS. This is what it's paused on. See that? See that?
Yeah.
Look at
I
that.
shouldn't wear this, should I? I should change it.
It's
I like it.
Probably too late.
It's more
now.
about your face. You can't really see it that well, can you?
Yeah, sorry.
Shame.
Yeah, the second we go live, you're gonna spring into like.
Just gonna
So
throw
show,
it
show
up.
them what you got on.
It's bad for my colour.
Show 'em what you got
it's
on.
Like the colouring's wrong.
Show them what you got on. Go on. Stand up. Give us a 12.
Yeah. Who?
You.
Oh, it's Well, hang on.
Ready?
It's a really nice dressing Looks like he's about to enter a boxing ring.
Take it off.
The thing.
Take it off.
Like,
Take it. It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming home. It's coming home. Hello, everyone. We're about to record a video game podcast.
A short one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a short one this week.
It's
folks.
fucking not.
Definitely 100%. I think this is a week a bit short.
A short one.
It's fucking not.
It's gonna be fine.
It's going to be a fucking long one.
4.5 hours.
It's coming home. Right, we all ready?
Yeah.
I'm opening Audacity.
Okay, that's a no then, isn't it?
That's It's a not yet.
Shouldn't have said ready. You should just like, okay, hit record. That's what you usually do. And it's on.
No, you just, when it happens to you, you just, oh, never mind. You just don't hear the "Are you ready?" bit. That's your
true.
problem.
Yeah.
It's true.
Right, I'm good.
All right. Okay. Everyone, hit record. 3, 2, 1. Max. Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with James Farley,
Hello.
Matt Murray,
Hello.
and Sean Bell.
Hello.
Let's start the show by introducing our Patreon producers for this month. They are the Full Nels crew, Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks chap. Why not join us as Full Nels? Simon Nelson, Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Trans Rights are Human Rights, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Rocketman76, Grey Dragon Claw, Fred Fenge, Smooth Monkey, Don Whiskerando, Colin Smith, Richard Sawyer, Thomas, and John Tempelli. What a crew! What a Full Nels crew! If you would like to join them, please go to patreon.com/TCGS and support the show. Support the show. And I think, you should really wait. At this point now, you should probably wait until December. Although we've done the whole rolling thing now, right, Matt?
No, no one has to wait now. You just sign
No
up
one
whenever
has
you
to
want.
wait.
Single minute to support us on the Patreon.
So here's why I think
they get charged.
Here's my pitch as to why you should sign up to at least the £4.50 and above tier, because you get to hear the Avengers Infinity War episode of Marvel Calls this Friday rather than next Friday. You get to hear that one.
It's mad, isn't it, to think that we're that far along already?
Yep.
It's like, it feels like not that long ago that we launched it.
I know, and
crazy.
what's annoying is that we're only a few films ahead of that.
Yes.
And James just doesn't give a shit about it
That's
anymore.
not true.
He's checked
That
out
is
Marvel
not
Calls.
true at all.
Well, I don't think anyone expected you to do beyond Endgame, right? I think everyone assumed that was like a natural. I know you have done.
These are all a bonus.
Yeah.
These are
That's
all a
what I mean.
bonus. But I mean, we had agreed to record Saturday night, and then that changed, didn't it, James?
James got all
my
the stuff to do.
my
It's your
son had
yeah.
a friend over to
Yeah.
sleep the night,
Cool.
and it was a bit.
My
difficult.
son was expecting to watch a Marvel film with Daddy.
You still could have done. I didn't stop you doing that.
No, well, no. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? You could still have watched it and then just kept some notes, and then we could have done it later anyway. It's fine.
Do you remember the last time we tried to do that for
Yes.
Ant-Man?
Yes,
where
it was
I
very
was calling
funny.
them Rudd and Douglas for the whole of the
Douglas.
podcast. And then I went, and then Rudd fell down the drain. I don't remember that bit. That was the point. Right, all I'll say is that don't listen to that episode. It wasn't a very good one.
It was one of my favourites. I love that
Of
episode.
course it was, because you didn't give a shit. You didn't have to pay attention.
That's not true. Scurrilous lies.
We have put our bonus show out for November. And we would just like to say thank you to everyone that listened to that and gave us some nice feedback, because I almost asked for it not to go out, or at least for like a third of it to be deleted before it went out, because I was very we got a bit personal.
It's a bit of a
very
vulnerable
deep.
one. And
That's
yeah,
a bit of a vulnerable one, isn't it?
but yeah, everyone's been really kind about it. A few people had to stop listening because it upset them too much. So £4.50, you can listen to that.
It's probably like the most personal we've got on a podcast, and yet it
Yes.
started with consoles.
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
the next
I
Nintendo
really want a
console
new
going to be like,
Nintendo
lad?
machine to come
What's
out.
it gonna be like? And then it's like,
I've got a watch.
Yeah.
And then-
What's your relationship with your dad like?
oh shit!
So-
Yeah.
I tell you what though, this is really like bad. So Sean on the bonus show this week talked about how he bought a regular non-smartwatch. And ever since that podcast went out, I was thinking, I think I need one of those. I fucking need one of those. And Joe's like, why are you looking at watches? I don't know, Joe. And it resulted in me driving down to Woking because the watch that I wanted was only available in that Argos for half the price than it was available everywhere else.
Is it a nice
So
day out?
I said to Joe, was like, you're not driving to Woking for a fucking cheap watch. It was cheap. Like, it's not an
No, it was, yeah,
expensive.
but it's not a cheap watch. It's a good watch that happened to be cheap.
Right, okay, fine.
What on offer?
But she turned around to me and said, you're not doing that. And I went, well, I could just bundle the kids in the car and then you get an hour and a half on your own. Okay, yeah, go and get that watch, David. Go and
Yeah.
get that watch. So there I was, going down to Woking. Right. Thanks for patreon.com/TCGS to support what we do. Appreciate y'all.
I
we
mean, by
mention-
the
is it-
time we listen to this, it'll be well. If you listen to this live, it won't be too late. But Tuesday, which is tomorrow as we record this, but yesterday, if you listen to pod, we're doing the GTA heist stream. So very looking forward to that. Very much looking forward
That
to
is
that.
It's gonna go fine.
exclusive to the £8.50 tier.
Yeah, we're just
It
keeping
is.
it to Patreon these days.
Yeah, £8.50
That's
tier. So
happening tomorrow.
That's happening tomorrow, and you can catch up with that by signing up for that tier. But we appreciate it. We know that you don't do it for the content; you do it to support everything we do, and we really do appreciate it. Right, feedback from last week's show. That's enough of that bollocks. Let's go on to the last week's show. What happened? They all love it, did they?
Yeah, Jean-Paul Gaultier has emailed.
Oh yeah,
He made
bags, didn't he? Did he make bags?
So what?
Did he make bags, Jean-Paul Gaultier?
No,
Was
they
it bag?
Did a lot of things.
I thought they were beauty products.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, you're
He's also
probably
on
right.
that.
Confused.
On
Was he also on Eurotrash? Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I know of him. That's the way he does his finest work for me.
Okay, fine.
Just wondering why Sean is considered the authority on pronunciation oh my god.
Brilliant. There we go, Sean. I tell you why.
I should read these before.
He's the authority by default.
Yeah.
Because us three are just fucking idiots.
On pronunciation when he pronounces Dordogne, a department of southwestern France, as if we were Italian city Dordogne, as he said on last week's show. Was he making a flamboyant Italian hand gesture while saying this word? I imagine he was, but I don't know as I don't watch live. Keep up the good work. Love, Jean-Paul.
What is it with people just queuing up to get the piss taken out of them on a podcast? Right, Jean-Paul, the reason I pronounced it the way I did was because I watched the Nintendo Direct where the developer from France pronounced it Dordogne.
Yeah, but Jean-Paul's from France, isn't it?
Well, Jean-Paul might be from France, but he's misspelt his own surname, so I'm a bit confused. You're missing the L, mate.
Yeah, no, I think Jean-Paul's fucked it there.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. It's really. I'm really glad I did. I was so close, like thinking, is it not Dordogne? And I was like, I must have misheard, or I'm an idiot. I must have said it wrong. So thank God I didn't.
They're both fine, to be fair. You can say Dordogne if you want. It's not. I wouldn't
cheers,
write in and have a go. Do you know what I mean? If someone said.
But you have had your moments, and I always bring it back to the Pokemon thing, where I was like, Sean must be right. I'll say that, and everyone was like, "You're an idiot, David," and I'm like, "I know. I'm just so confused. I'm so confused.
Let that one slide.
I can't let it slide. I brought it up about 14 times since we worked it out, Sean. Go on, next.
Yeah, Gary Dutton, I'm insisting that the news is renamed to The Buzz with James Farley with immediate effect. It needs a jingle too, of course.
Who the fuck is Gary? Is he our producer these days? What's this about? I am insisting. Oh, you are you, Gary? Yeah. You not heard my mantra? Never listen to the listeners.
How about
the problem is when we received that, I had already made the jingle. So,
oh yeah, you had.
So just to be clear, Gary, you can't tell me what to do. It's just that in this instance, I had already done what you wanted.
I just happened to agree with you.
Sean, had you messaged saying, Gary, I made an amazing jingle, he then emails. It's like, well, look, made you do it.
Yep.
Oh, we should shout out Gary's new podcast. He's doing a podcast series, like a new series of his existing podcast. What is it called? People Make Games. I'm not even fucking around. I'm terrible with names and stuff.
It was called Making Games is Fun, and it's now it's just MGIF or MGIF. I don't know how you say it out loud.
MGIF. So if you search for that, Gary, I am so sorry for getting that wrong. I know it's a dangerous point.
I'm going to be on it soon. He's editing the episode with me on. So if you want to hear about my glorious ascent in games media, then...
Where do you go? Do you talk about this show in that?
Yeah, of course.
Do you talk about me?
Yeah.
Are you like, David saved my career?
I mean,
were you like that? Did you go,
he's actually really nice in person. He doesn't want anyone to know.
That's out of
a great secret.
That is out of order. Thank you. Next. So what? No, give that name again. MGIF.
So yeah, I think it's MGIF podcast on Twitter. If Twitter's still working by the time this goes out.
Yeah, just search for it on your podcast.
I don't think he's on Hive yet.
Yeah, just search on Mastodon.
Larry,
I'd like to nominate Sean Bell for this year's top troll in the podcast editor category. Not only did he subvert expectations with last week's 2-minute outro not condensed into 5 seconds, but we got not one, but 2 stingers melded into one overly creepy end credits surprise. The poll will probably win top troll, but bravo, sir, good effort.
Thank you. Appreciate
You
that.
got a lot of good feedback from the end song, didn't you, Sean?
Yeah, a lot of people actually really liked it, which I mean, I feel bad because obviously I didn't compose that. I just took the one that Nick made for us and just slowed it down. But it does sound quite cool.
It does sound very cool, yeah.
Yeah, I
also,
thought about...
Matt said that with the venom of someone that doesn't want to give up his editing job and is furious that you're getting so much praise for it.
I would happily give up the editing job.
Although, hold on. When we've offered to edit before, you said I would rather die than ask for help. So I'm getting mixed.
I've changed recently. I'm asking for help.
Good.
You know,
I'm
doing
not doing it this week.
That's growth.
No,
I got too busy, baby. Right, next.
Jake Barlow, feedback. As many people do, I tend to listen to podcasts in bed. This time, I started drifting off at the usual point, just as Matt started going on about the socials. My blissful sleep was interrupted by the slow and droning war drum of the super slow download of the theme tune. I woke up suddenly, genuinely confused and more than a bit terrified before realizing what was going on. I can't accurately convey the level of confusion, but it probably looked a bit like that Limmy meme of him being woken up. Sounded pretty cool, though, and consider me an advocate for the 2-hour version from Jake Barlow.
I need to... I had a similar experience, right? I was in Amsterdam, and I bought a Caius album. And I just had it, like, I had a CD player, bought Caius album in a shop, and we went out partaking in the local festivities.
Entertainment.
I blacked out, fucking out of it, and then woke up with my headphones in and the album playing to this bit of this song. You ready? Imagine waking up in a dark room. Wait, hold on. Let me get to the bit where he goes. There's a bit where he goes. I nearly shit myself.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I really did. If there was one moment in my life where I thought I was dead, I think it was that moment in the bed in Amsterdam. So what I'm saying is that I can relate to that.
It's weird though, like, you know, because I try not to go to sleep listening to podcasts and stuff, because I remember once I was listening to one and I was convinced that the podcast was ending because they'd announced on the show that it was finishing, and they were really happy that, you know, they'd had such a good, you know, connection with the audience and everything, but it was time to move on and all this kind of stuff. I'd completely made that up in my own brain. Like, and
what podcast?
It was Mark Commode. It was that one. It was the Commode. But this was ages ago. Like, I'm talking, This is like about 15 years ago or whatever.
Before they ended it.
And it's like I can still remember hearing the whole thing in my head, even though it wasn't
James's
real.
Mandela effect.
It was really strange. Yeah, because I woke up in the morning and I was like, "Oh, it's a shame that's ending. That's a shame."
But then, did you have like an amazing moment when you found out that was wrong, and you were like, "Oh,
yeah,"
God.
And I was like, "What was that about?" It was like it felt so real.
But then, James, when someone said actually it didn't end, did you treat them like shit and speak to them like crap and said, "Actually, I'll send you an episode of their podcast"? Like, did you get attitude from someone or? No, okay. Well, you had a better experience than I did.
This is the first time I've ever revealed the story, so yeah.
Blimey.
Well,
I appreciate it.
That's an
It's
exclusive.
mostly because it wasn't very interesting. But
yeah, no, it's a
We should
shame.
put that in the news section.
Please wait.
Yeah.
Wait for episode 300.
I tend to listen to like Radio 4's The World Tonight before going to bed, if I'm going to bed at a sensible time, on the hope that one, it's interesting, but also like the information stays in my brain. I don't think it's working.
No.
I've thought about doing that. The whole listening to French lessons or whatever while I'm sleeping, just to see if I wake up one morning and go bonjour.
Chen does that most nights, so I get German, you know, like through that the whole time. It's
How's it working for her?
She did the test the other day. She's done like the A2 test, which is fun for her. But yeah.
And she failed, so it's not working. There's no single word. If she went backwards. Okay, Nick Parton. As the writer of your theme tune, one that has previously been described as like the backing to a forklift training instructional video, and which was once replaced entirely with the Amen drum loop in a past Capone edit, I have to nonetheless side with those that don't want the long version at the end of the show. I'll be honest, even I skip it. Wow. People got to live a life, you know what I mean? Nonetheless, if anyone really wants to hear the whole thing at their leisure, stick Nick Parton TCGS into YouTube and bang, there it is. Cheers from Nick.
See, I don't know if it's more surprising or less surprising that you don't like the.
I was going to say, yeah.
I often think I've always wanted to ask Blake. I've never actually asked him, but I've always wanted to ask him. You're flicking over like on the TV, and then suddenly the In-Betweeners just two's on. Do you sit and watch the rest of it, or do you go, "Oh fucking hell"?
Just
Do you know what I mean?
With like TV and film, it's different though, isn't it? Because he might have never seen it, and because he was only involved in certain parts of it, you wouldn't necessarily know what the final thing looks like.
See, I was
Whereas
at the premiere with him.
If you've composed, no, but just, do you know what I mean? Like if it just so happens that he hadn't. Whereas if you've composed a song, you definitely intimately know every single aspect of it.
And you put every little piece of that together. See, and you probably, not that I'm saying there are faults, but I'm sure there are bits that he would have done differently now.
Yeah.
That he probably
100%.
listens to and gone, oh, that bit. I don't know. I think I'm less surprised.
Because some actors like never watch anything they're in, don't they? They find it really anxiety-inducing and unpleasant.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd watch everything. I'd
Elizabeth
watch
Olsen.
everything over and over again. I fucking would. I'm telling you, I'd watch it all. I would.
That's
watch
why I
it
don't
all.
listen to the podcast back. It's just I don't like to critique my own
That's a good
Because
performance.
you're barely in it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't really make a difference to you. Sorry,
James,
Matt.
James, you can listen back to him. Like, I wonder what everyone else was saying while I was looking at my phone. And
This is outrageous.
Elizabeth Olsen said recently that she just doesn't watch Marvel movies and hasn't seen loads of ones she's been in because she's just not into that. So imagine that you're into like the biggest franchises of all time. Like, I don't really like Marvel stuff, but
Nick Parton's getting compared to a lot of famous people right now, isn't he?
Elizabeth
rightly so.
Olsen,
Okay.
Blake, James, better than Falls. Dear TCGS, Coco, let me hear you say, "Way-oh, way-oh."
Why,
Matt,
when
come
you
on,
get
mate.
these ones, why do you read it so wrong?
Because I don't pre-read them, Hound. So
TCGS, Coco, let me hear me say way-oh, way-oh.
I should probably pre-read them first. I think that's my.
I mean,
Hang on. Do you know the song, Matt?
Isn't that? It's not Out Here Brothers, is it?
It is.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah,
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Let me cut my day way-oh.
Well,
Do you remember
Yeah.
when? Because every time we put a single out, there was like, oh, it's got the Rude version on it.
oh yeah, they should.
Did they do that one that went wiggle, wiggle, don't stop moving, baby,
Yeah.
all that moving drive me crazy? Music was shit. See, when last time I did stand up years ago, one of my things was about how people my age had the shittest generation ever. We didn't quite, we weren't like quite the right age for Britpop. And that sort of music. We had like the Out Here Brothers and
Too Unlimited.
yeah, and DJ Luck and MC Nee.
Wigfield.
Hang on. What's wrong
yeah,
with
that-
Wigfield?
Let's
What
not
the
slag off
fuck are you being
Wigfield?
negative about
Thanks.
Wigfield for, James?
But yeah, that's what I always regret. Right, go on. Sorry, boom, boom,
yeah.
boom. Let me hear you say way up.
Better than Falls, as we So it has come to my knowledge that there is a new job opening for the fourth member of the podcast. Due to recent differences in enthusiasm and lack of focus on the correct titles, I would like to formally apply. My experience is as follows: completed 22 hours in God of War Ragnarok and 0 hours in Sonic Frontiers. I change my light bulbs in the house as soon as they go out. Despite having no experience in VR or FIFA, I have a passion to listen intently and to give my view. I love all these indie games that Sean goes on about. I have a thorough knowledge of the MCU, and I would relish the opportunity to join David as he works through Phase 4+ of Marvel calls. I have 4 years of German and 2 years of Spanish studying under my belt, despite not practicing since high school. That's more than some people. I would love to hear from you. Also, please let me know if anything is unclear in my application, and I would be happy to elaborate. Regards, Dr. Mr. DC. Mr. DC, far better than Files.
Okay. James, thoughts?
I mean, how are you feeling, Sean, about them trying to get rid of you? Yeah.
Hey, what he's done the old switcheroo there. He's done the old switcheroo. He's done. What we'll do, James, is that after this podcast, if you stay behind, we'll play that back and we'll see how it didn't quite work.
No, I don't think it did. But never mind.
I mean,
I'd
the
say
thing is,
something.
what they've misunderstood, like the light bulbs thing, like that was a rich vein of content for a long time.
Yeah, that's
like
6
you
months
can't.
plus.
You think you're better than James because you change your light bulbs. That's not how it works. It's not quite how it works.
Yeah, if James did that, what would we have done for 6 months?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know the worst possible thing you could have put on this was I love all those games, indie games that Sean goes on about. No, that's the last thing we want.
Exactly.
We don't want
I
another.
don't need more encouragement.
Sean,
enough
I
as it
don't.
is.
I don't know why, and this is terrible, right? And I feel bad, and I know you'll be fine with it, but I don't know why because I've not had this video for ages, but somehow Harry and Charlie still constantly say, "I'm Sean Bell. I don't like that game. It's too popular." They said it at the table about 8 times yesterday, and I'm thinking, I've not seen that video for about 3 years. So how are you still saying this? I've got to try and get. I'll try and get Charlie saying it for you because it is quite funny.
I can use it as like a Twitch alert that people can trigger in the chat. That'd be good.
Yeah,
that would be good. Sorry, the position is closed. James is very much part of the team, and although we take the piss out of him constantly on a regular basis, he's one of us, aren't you, James?
I mean, sure, there are some personal development plan issues, but we're working through them.
Yep.
But yeah, as it stands, currently full-time member of the team. But also, you can't keep information on record because of GDPR. But thank you for applying. If anything else comes up.
Plus, I mean, the redundancy process is just a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah,
not very.
We'll
roll over. You think you'd argue? It'd roll over, be easy.
But, I'll get a payout. Wicked. I don't have to do the show anymore.
I get money, and I don't have to do it.
James, isn't this nice the way that we're supporting you and backing you up here?
Yeah, I'm just a bit shocked.
That's weird. Your voice broke then.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, well done. Congratulations.
It's because I'm a bit choked up.
No, it is nice, isn't it? It is nice, isn't it, James? Which makes what we're about to say even harder. We're going to have to let you go. Jackie Sniper, hi lads. Just listening to the last pod where Reese mentioned listening to TCGS at work while welding. This got me thinking about any other weird or wonderful places that people listen to your dulcet tones. I'm a long-haul airline pilot and I often listen to you guys while flying over the Atlantic at some godforsaken hour.
That can't be right. That can't be legal. Can it? Fucking hell.
Before you judge me that I'm irresponsible, be rest assured this only happens during my controlled rest period where the other pilot is flying the aircraft and I'm
fair enough.
Prescribed break.
I'm just imagining if that got piped through to the sound system.
Accidentally, instead of Die Hard, it's got our audio track over the top of it.
Yeah, well, the other pilot's like, I don't want to hear this. This really pisses me off,
Do you remember them? They used to have Virgin Radio. Do you remember? Firstly, the fucking annoying shit they did where it was like, okay, we're going to sell you one of these little adapters with 2 pins in it to 1 pin. Mm-hmm. And if you just plugged it into one, it'd only come through one headphone. And you'd be like, I might be able to get away with this, but this is 15 fucking quid. And you go, we'll save it till next time. You never do. You always fucking lose those things. And I used to remember that little plasticky buttons and changing the channels and just going, this is all shit music and the films are crap. Why have I paid 15 quid for this? Sorry.
Right. Well, Jackie continues. Side note, I discovered your channel back in 2020 off the back of being made redundant and was a bit miserable, to be honest. Your weekly pod has become a staple for me and always raised my spirits when I needed it. Happy to say I'm now in a fortunate position where I can justify upping my Patreon subscription to full nails, and I'll be doing that come the start of next month. Cheers. P.S. Please be kind to James. I couldn't take it if he packed it all in.
There you go.
I couldn't take it if he packs it. If he packs it all in, we're all done, I think.
So buck your ideas up, James, is what we're saying. Well, yeah, thank you as much, Jackie Sniper. That's an amazing message.
Yeah, what a story.
Also, just very surreal imagining, just like, right, I mean, how does controlled dress work? Do you stay in your seat, but you just don't have to do anything?
Yeah, just sort of
lean back. Yeah, headphones.
And then listen to James going, I don't like card games. I'd love to know if Jackie Sniper tells the co-pilot what's going on. I'm just listening to this podcast. Basically, James doesn't like, card games, but the listeners are making him stream one, so he's pretending to like it. To keep a couple of them quiet.
The other pilot's like, what is it? It's a good show, is it? And he's like, yeah. I mean, it's kind of, it's pretty. The format's pretty basic, but it's about the personalities. It's about the personalities. The way they bounce off each other. It's,
You can really relate to them.
Anyway,
let's land.
Yeah, was like, was there a Was there a Farley's Fantasy Zone this week? I'm not unbothered, but was there one?
He has to switch it off instantly because it starts just smashing buttons in front of him as we was entering the fantasy zone, and that can't be safe. That
Mistake
cannot
the siren
be
at
safe.
the end for like an emergency alert and the plane.
Okay, Jackie Sniper, I've got something for you.
Oh no!
Next time you're flying a plane,
Do a loop,
please. Yeah, no. Spell out TCGS in the sky. You know how they do. You know how they do that with put the smoke at the back.
Yep.
And spell out TCGS and get someone to.
It's probably dead easy. It's only 4 letters.
Yeah.
The person that takes the photos will have to be on the ground because if they're in the plane, they won't be able to see it.
Well, if you can do,
or
just do it
get one
above-
of your pilot mates to like fly their plane.
Yeah,
and
next
do
to it. Yes.
I was going to say, 'cause if you do it above my house and just give me a shout.
Oh, that's a good point. You could send your drone up.
I could. I'll try not to crash into you.
Because we're both pilots, right?
Yeah.
We're both pilots. I know the stress.
I've paid my £9 for my certification.
I've got a pilot outfit too.
Right, this is too much. Let's move on.
Okay, MD Krabuffs.
We need to do a whole show just talking to Jackie Sniper, I think.
We do. I might have to be a thing.
I'm up for that. Right, go on.
MD Krabuffs feedback. Looking forward to the new TCGS self-care series. Sean's yoga workshop. Farley's, Teutonic hikes. Screaming therapy and Matt. We'll probably skip tugging with Turners.
Never skip tugging with Turners. That's the best time.
You don't have to watch it. You just. Do you know what I mean?
Listen.
You don't have to actually.
But you just want to hear the sounds.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Close your eyes.
Okay. Next.
Imagine. Teutonic's what's that like? That's like a Latin word for Germanic stuff, right? I think that's the. So it'd be Farley hiking in Germany. That
is a series I do want to see.
Yeah, I'd love that. I could.
Yeah, that.
Not to go on about it. I could bring the drone.
Fucking hell. You say that for everything, Sean. Sean, let's go to a football match. Oh, yeah, okay. I can bring the drone.
Owning a drone enhances every aspect of your life, Dave.
Sure. Do you know, I'd love that. I could do a lovely walk over one of the the dikes here because there's loads of them.
You could do a lovely walk and you could hear the drone.
It'd be brilliant.
Sean, will you bring your drone to tugging with Turners?
Yes, why not? Do it on a hillside, Dave, and I'll like pan around.
Keep distance. I don't want to get chops off.
I'll put some Enya over it.
Actually, these days probably don't make a difference, does it? Go on.
Yeah, in-joke face. Dave's FIFA updates are a lot like listening to the most boring man in the pub tell you about the time he went to Tremolinos with Wazza Bongo and Eddie the Trousers.
Can I? Can I just say?
Oh, that was great.
I agree. Seriously, I agree. I did it once as an in-joke for the people that play with us, right? And then I didn't do it the week after because I went, no one can give a shit about that. And then I got loads of messages saying, why aren't you doing it? Why was there no Bisque update this week? And I was like, because it was an in-joke for 3 people. Like, no one, I like the Bisque update. So I went, all right, I'll do them again. And I think... never listen to the listeners, and what I did is I listened to the listeners and brought it back. But you're absolutely right. In joke face. That's it. That's it. No more Bisque updates. No more Bisque updates. Espad did score 5 goals in 1 game, and it was incredible. But you're not going to hear about that, and I think that's the right thing to do. Is that it?
Yeah, but I just want to say. Tommy Molinos was Bongo and Eddie the Trousers again.
It's a long episode title, isn't it?
Yeah, it works. I think Eddie the Trousers.
Eddie the Trousers is the one, I think.
Yeah, Eddie the Trousers.
So if you want to leave feedback, go to tcgs.co/deartcgs.
There we go. Let's get on with the news.
Okay, I'm gonna hit straight to it. Because
beg your pardon?
I don't know what that meant. As I said
I'm gonna hit straight to it.
Gonna hit and get straight.
You sound like one of those people that comes into your school to talk about drugs to try and put them off. And I'm cool too, so you can listen to my views. I'm going to hit straight to it, guys.
Yeah.
It's like Liz Truss saying she's going to hit the ground. You know.
James coming in, spinning the chair around. It's like, hey guys, nah, it's not cool.
Anyway, Yuji Naka's been arrested. For insider trading
against gaming.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Way more serious.
It's not Balan's Wonderworld.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about this because it's like Yuji Naka was never really seen as like a nasty person. I think everyone just enjoyed the weird
absolutely not. He just made some
career
games people
path,
don't
right?
like.
Yeah, it's the strange career path that made him a bit of a cartoon, right? Is it safe to say? Is
Well,
that nice?
I think
Is that
recently
okay?
things have been a bit odd. Like,
They have been odd.
you had like the Balan Wonderworld stuff, obviously. Then you had him cutting people out of pictures from ages ago that he didn't like
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, which was a bit odd. But I mean, he's been accused of purchasing shares worth around 2.8 million yen, which is like 16.8 like thousand. And this is because there's a Japanese developer that Square Enix has partnered with to make a Dragon Quest mobile game, but obviously nobody knew this before he knew about it before the shares,
Right.
before it was announced. And
How do
yeah,
you
so
prove that there must be some emails or something.
well,
But
it's also because there's two other people at Square Enix were accused of the same thing, and
Right.
they were arrested before this, and he was working there at the same time and did
Okay.
the same thing. It seems.
so they probably grassed him right up, didn't they?
Yeah.
Look, I mean, yeah. My point is that he's always been a bit of a character, but then, and it's always been a bit like, Yuji Naka, what's he up to? And then
Insider
when it's
trading.
serious, it's kind of like, oh, that's ruined a bit, isn't it? And I mean, it's not like it's insider trading shit or whatever, but it's not like. Is it bad? Am I like? Should I be a little bit more outraged by it?
No, I know what you mean.
He tried to make a quick buck,
as
didn't he?
crimes go, I
Yeah,
find
he
it
tried it
difficult to get
on.
upset about it.
Yeah, he tried it on. He got found out. Allegedly. We don't know if any of this is real yet. We don't even know for sure if he's been arrested or has that been confirmed.
No,
since?
it's confirmed that he was arrested. It's
Right,
just,
okay.
But
yeah,
not,
it's just
not necessarily convicted.
Exactly, yeah. It's all allegedly at this stage.
Shit, man. Shit, what weird. I've never understood. I know this is the wrong thing to say and the wrong angle to take on this news story.
But you're going to say it.
Understood people that are able to go down that line. I've never got it. Like, I'm so scared of anything like that. Like, I constantly feel, hey, if you put £16,000 into this, you are going to make big money. Really? Yeah. My brain's going, you're going to lose every penny. Don't go near anything like that. Put your
Well, that's
money
it, because
on
we're
the mattress.
because we're not into this stuff. Like, by the time people like us have heard a tip about what you should invest in, it's probably already too late.
Yes, yeah, that's my mantra. Matt's banging to this stuff. What are you talking about? He loves all this.
I'll be well up for this.
Yeah.
Well,
Cheeky.
I made
He's
lots
well
of
up
bad
for
decisions.
inside trading. Is that what you're
I mean, lots
saying?
of bad decisions. Definitely about
Well
money,
up. I'll be well up for fraud.
This is the kind of thing I'm like, I would probably fall into because I'm a
Yes.
maniac. But
Yep. Yeah.
anyway, it's a shame. But this is, I mean, this documentary, or there should be a documentary about his life because the last few years have been all over the place.
Yeah. God. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Like,
a shame because
Danny O'Dwyer's taken notes.
But then, there's like, I don't know. He seemed like genuinely, like he's perhaps not, like he's really not doing very well, is he? Like the way he sort of reacted to the whole Balan Wonderworld thing and his departure there, which I mean, and
Although he sounded like he was wronged, right?
I was going to say,
yeah,
I mean,
that's
all
what I
the
mean.
stories.
Yeah, like I think
Yeah.
certainly a fair percentage of that was legitimate. But it's like you say, the cutting people out of photographs and stuff all started seeming a bit strange.
I think it's sad.
It is sad. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Next story is Microsoft were allegedly working on this like streaming console, right? And then obviously we found out this wasn't alleged; it was actually happening, and they were working on it, and it was called Keystone.
Right.
Then this was shelved in May this year, where they were like, "We're not doing this now. That's it. It's not going to happen." But the reasons why this has been shelved have now sort of come out. And so Phil Spencer was speaking, and he says the console that we built that now people have seen, Keystone, was more expensive than he wanted it to be when we actually built it out with the hardware that we had inside, and we decided to focus that team's effort on delivering the smart TV streaming app instead. So they went into partnership with Samsung instead to like bring the Xbox Cloud gaming app to the smart TVs, and then. So when it comes down to the price, he says, I don't want to announce pricing specifically, but I think you've got to be $129 to $99, like somewhere in there, for Keystone to make sense, in my view. and that we just weren't there. We weren't there with the controller, and I love the effort, etc. And he says, it did work very well, but it was just too expensive to make it so it was actually viable to release. And this sounds completely reasonable to me, because that's what I would have thought as well. Like 99 to 129 or whatever is about what people would be willing to pay. People ain't going to be willing to pay like 300, like
No way.
for a stream.
Well, especially when Series S's are like 180 at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
And I know that's a sale, and that's not, what Microsoft want to put them out at. But if you're going, well, actually, it's only like £20 more, and you get the actual console, and you can run it off that. Like,
Totally.
it's so the focus on TVs is all right, but I don't know how. Like, part of me is like, how do you standardize that? How do you make sure that the TVs are good enough to run it?
That stuff's easy because they're currently only doing Samsung, and only Samsung's from a certain year.
Yeah, I know, but that's not great for what they're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah, they want it on every telly, ideally, don't they?
They want it on everything, right?
So the big problem is the controller as well, because the only the big way you're going to get that is if like Samsung or whatever starts bundling controllers as well, like with the.
Well, this is kind of it. Like so you've got to try and teach your consumers, your average consumer, that firstly you could download this app and play all these Xbox games. Secondly, the subscription to it. Thirdly, your TV's probably got Bluetooth and you can connect a Bluetooth controller to it. We can't teach you how, because there's going to be various different manufacturers and they do it in different ways, and it's really hard to sell. Whereas a micro console at the right price could have been way easier. But if they're not hitting that price, why bring it to market? That's the thing.
If you release something like that for like 129 with 6 months Game Pass Ultimate, whatever included, for free or whatever in it, and then you get a controller and stuff. Because I still think the controller is the big problem, is getting people with this idea of you need that.
And the other thing is, I suppose something we've not really factored in yet is so I have like a Chromecast stick in the back of the telly because my TV's apps are shit. I know it's 4K one, mate.
Someone's earning.
It's well good. But okay, so if you're buying a Keystone, they could have really leaned into by the way, you don't need a Chromecast or a Fire Stick, or this can also serve as your Netflix and your Disney Plus and your all the rest of it.
I know, but I think it's going to take them a long. I think that's going to take a big thing for them to turn to TV and stuff again.
Well,
you know, that's like the poison chalice for them, isn't it? It's like, what the fuck? I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it without taking some sort of ownership on OSs on TVs, and that will never happen. The idea of buying a TV and getting an Xbox controller with it, and if you turn it on by the remote, you go to your TV. If you turn it on by the controller, it goes to your Game Pass.
Yeah.
Think about that. As simple as possible, people will get it, but they will not be able to achieve that doing what they're doing now. And they just can't do that.
I mean, that's too confusing. Yeah, this is one of my predictions this year. That they would just release this thing where you can you see it the till at a shop, it's £100. Like James said, controller, 6 months, Game Pass Ultimate. You want something that they can pick up, plug into TV. They haven't got an Xbox, haven't thought about it. It's all there as one. The TV app is cool and all, but there's so many other stages. It's just gonna.
Do you know what?
If you want to go mainstream, it's just not going to work as well. I don't.
Yeah,
think.
You know what else I find really surprising? If they're willing to lose $100 on each console sale, why are they not willing to lose that on these?
Who says they're going to lose that on that?
What do you mean?
Well, who says they're going to? Oh, so if they're currently losing 100, you mean? You don't mean on Keystone, you mean on current consoles.
That's right, yeah.
Because with the consoles, they're probably thinking we are making that money back on games, on people buying games and accessories and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think game sales are still way more prevalent than I thought that maybe they thought was the case at this point. I think people are still just buying games and not necessarily signing up to Game Pass.
Yeah, but as someone who buys Keystone is not going to be the sort of person who will be suddenly spending tons of money, I think, on Xbox software and content like a standard console player would be. They must have an average.
No, of course not.
Well, yeah, because
price, average selling, amount that they think a hardcore user would typically spend in their lifetime or a year. Somebody buying this potential Keystone device or a controller on a till at a shop, they're like, well, we're going to sell hardly anything. But this is a new audience.
Can I ask a question about this with Xbox? Like the cloud stuff, because I'm not entirely sure where we're at with this at this moment. Can I? Okay, if you have xCloud, like if you have like a Game Pass Ultimate like account, right, and then so you get xCloud game streaming like through it, right?
Yeah.
Can you buy games like any games and then play that through the cloud?
So they are
No.
working on that
No.
apparently. So currently no.
So you couldn't.
It's just Game Pass stuff, but apparently that is in the works, so you can play anything from your library over the cloud.
So I can't like buy a Samsung TV and then use xCloud to play FIFA, for example. Like if I buy FIFA, you can't do that yet.
No.
That's correct, yeah.
So it's just Game Pass games basically as well at the moment on it, right?
But there's also the other strand, and maybe this isn't working yet. I should probably look into it. But like you can play Game Pass games that have enabled cloud playing, but you can also kind of dial straight into your Xbox, right? So you can do that.
Oh God, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
brilliant. I do that all the time.
So could James play that from FIFA
Yes.
via xCloud?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I set up. When I first started playing FIFA, that's how I set up my character and everything, because couldn't be bothered to wait for everyone to get out of the front room. So I just sent it to my mobile and was setting all up through the menus and stuff. But yeah, that's what you bought. That's essentially what you bought your Backbone for, right?
Yeah, and I do use it like quite a bit actually to play stuff. I mean, mostly just lying in bed and things, really. Because you can just continue whatever you're doing. Yeah, it's not bad for that. The biggest problem with it still though is the size of like things that are on the screen, because they're tiny.
Yeah.
And that's still a big problem, I think, because it's obviously not designed for it.
God, yeah, I played a lot of Power Wash Sim on that, and that was just such a good just having that. Yeah, because that was on Game Pass, wasn't it? I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Are you gone?
I was just going to say, this partnership with Samsung, do you think they will start bundling controllers with tellies?
well, that's what I'm saying. I think they might have to, but
Yeah, because with Keystone, it's like, yeah, it's $100 plus. Like nearly half of that is the fucking controller. Whereas if you're buying a Samsung telly, fucking 600 quid plus. Like, okay, they've snuck in a 40 quid for a controller. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot easier to sneak it in that way rather than doubling the cost of the streaming stick.
And that's the biggest problem as well, because even if you buy one of those TVs, like say you bought one and you're kind of interested in gaming or whatever, but you haven't got any controllers hanging around, because some people don't. And then it's like, oh, this has got an Xbox thing on it. It's like, oh, I need to buy a controller that's like 60 quid or whatever. That's already a massive barrier to anyone bothering to do that.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
And and this is all like, because Game Pass needs to reach, because they want to reach a more casual audience with it, right? Because they want to reach the sort of people who are going to subscribe to it and then basically sort of forget that they've got it. Like, just really, I guess I don't know. I never really bought games before, but now I guess I pay a tenner a month and I sometimes play. Do you know what I mean?
But even that trend is changing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The world we're entering into now is different to where it was when they first started this stuff, and just anecdotally, the amount of people that are like, cancelled this, cancelled that, which makes a lot of sense. So I think the reliance of that audience, I'm not saying it's not there anymore, because I think it is, but but not.
Especially because so many things have moved to a pay monthly model, as you say. It's like,
that's right.
Everyone's like actively managing that stuff now. Like there's people who are like, well, I'll subscribe to Netflix for a month and then I'll bin that and then I'll get Disney Plus and then depending on what I want to watch. Like,
and it is something that I thought about a lot since playing God of War. I'm sitting there just going, Microsoft need to sort this out now. We've said for years. Do you remember that E3 where they said we bought this like 5 or 6 companies, and we were like, oh, when they start pumping out games, it's going to be exclusive after exclusive. It really hasn't been. What can you put forward this year that they've brought out? I mean, their last big release was what?
Halo Infinite.
That was last year.
Was there a Forza this year?
No, there was
last year.
Yeah, that was last year. It's mad. Yeah. It is mad.
Like there have been like some exclusives, but none of them have been massive.
Not their AAA, not that sort of stuff. And they've got some good games on there. You said you played Grounded, Sea of Thieves, the amount of times you put into.
Yeah.
I still love Forza. I still think it's brilliant. I played that the other day and was like, oh my God, this is still the best thing to play. But it's funny, isn't it? Well, I'm playing God of War and I'm just thinking this is like a real sort of chunk of game that you just don't see on Microsoft
blockbuster
Xbox.
box office stuff. Like I just don't think Xbox is ever going to get there, even with all their studios. It's a cut above anything else, really. And maybe I should just like stop thinking that Xbox are going to try and compete on this level, because I don't think they'll do their own thing.
It's weird because like this generation, I've bought into Xbox as like the place to play everything else, not necessarily for the big exclusives. But then, as you say, they bought all these studios. We probably expected to see more from that by now, but then obviously, impact of COVID, etc., etc.
Yeah,
maybe it just needs another year. Who knows?
But we've been saying that for years and years and years. It's mad.
But yeah, but Sean's right. They bought these, and then COVID hit. It's like everyone's been fucked with that, and then
but that was about 3 or 4 years after. I'd love to know what year it was that they announced all those acquisitions, because I bet it was. If I was guessing it would be 2016, 2017.
Later than that, wasn't it?
Don't think it was.
I'm totally guessing.
Everything feels like a long time, but the last few years it's hard to.
Yeah, time's very stretchy these days.
The next story follows on for this, because Phil Spencer was talking to Decoder as well. And I mean, the headline from this, which I feel is a little bit misleading, was he said Phil Spencer says the Xbox business will become untenable if it remains irrelevant on mobile. And so basically, first of all, he talked about the Call of Duty deal, and was saying that a lot of this, like the focus on this, is not correct, and it's been made up by competitors.
Oh, we lost James.
It's gone again.
Edit
point.
Frozen.
There we go. Hello.
We lost you. We lost you for a bit.
Okay, I'm back.
I have trouble with my Wi-Fi, baby girl.
It's weird, isn't it, how that happens every week about this time.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Always during the news.
What's going on in that house?
Yeah, it's a bit odd. Anyway,
while we've hit a natural pause anyway, Louis P says, the big wave of acquisitions was 2019. So
it was 2018, I just checked, because it was when they announced the initiative.
Louis P says
you calling Louis Potter a liar?
I am actually, yeah. Do you remember, it was announced at the same time as the initiative, right? And the initiative was 2018, June 2018, 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
no?
Well, Louis P says otherwise, Dave.
All right, well, I'm just going by it. Didn't pause on the phone. I mean, that's what it says in Wikipedia. So to be fair,
Wikipedia. Okay.
But yeah, no, I thought it was earlier than that. Anyway, right. Okay, sorry.
Okay, where did I cut out? At what point?
Yeah, I'll just start the story again, probably.
Okay, so following on from this, Phil Spencer has been talking to Decoder about the Xbox business, and also about the deal with they're trying to put through with Activision. And he got this headline which is a bit misleading, where he says that the Xbox business will become untenable if it remains irrelevant on mobile. And I mean, he starts off by talking about Call of Duty, and about how the focus on Call of Duty with this deal is not really accurate, and it's just basically Sony are sort of focusing on this because it affects them. And one of the things he said, I haven't heard Nintendo has been sending any complaints about the deal. And it's like,
Nintendo haven't had Call of Duty for about a decade, mate.
Yeah. There's no those games come on that.
Nintendo don't even know about the deal. They're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, what? No,
shit.
So then,
it didn't come through to their fax machine.
So there's a carrier pigeon. It's on its way to Kyoto as we speak. Right,
the scroll.
Nintendo, Microsoft, the Office people. What? Gaming.
Cave paintings.
Clippy. The people who make
it's not even called Office anymore. You're joking.
You've gone forward.
Microsoft 365. So it said. So then also he focused here on how basically saying that mobile was the thing, and that there wasn't actually like growth on consoles is not spectacular, and also on.
Oh, he's gone.
I have trouble with my Wi-Fi, baby girl.
That is insane. What? Let's start saying exactly the same thing that happens again.
Same bit. Is it cursed content? He's not allowed to say it.
I think we should probably play the song, right? Look at James's face. Someone clip this and send this to the Chatterbixers. Come on.
It's not even Wi-Fi. I'm hardwired. It's like hardwired. It's not even Wi-Fi. connected directly in. It's ridiculous.
We can't keep it in. We can't steal their material. I feel
I'll get
bad.
told off.
That song, when it gets in your head, man, forget about it. Go on.
Okay, so then what's happened is he says that actually the real focus here should be on mobile because the PC growth hasn't been spectacular and console growth is kind of leveling off at this stage. And so this is where he says that's just a place where if we don't gain relevancy as a gaming brand, and we're not alone in seeing this, over time the business will become kind of untenable for any of us. If we're not able to find customers on phones, on any screen that someone wants to play on, you really are going to get segmented into to a niche part of gaming that running a global business will become very challenging. As a percent of the overall gaming business, the console business is shrinking because the overall business is growing and console stays relatively flat as a business. Same thing with PC. Then he says that puts a lot of us out there who are maybe traditionally segmented to one screen and one device in a position of, okay, if you play this out over 10 years, if the console itself is not going to grow and PC will grow in certain years and not in others, and mobile continues to grow, how do you continue to run the business and stay competitive with others that are out there either acquiring talent, building new business models, new distribution, building new franchises, etc. So basically, he's saying that that's the reason they're buying this is because of the mobile side of Activision Blizzard, and that they badly need this because
Come
it's
on.
not there.
Come on.
I mean, this is also to redirect away from Call of Duty and everything.
Of course
basically.
it is. Of course he's coming out with quotes on the week, every week now. He's coming out with something about this. Oh no! This is bollocks. No, we're not thinking about doing this at all. No, don't worry about it.
Actually, we're not making any money, and
Yeah,
we might as well
I
shut
don't
up
know.
shop
Who
at
wants
this
Call of
Call of
stage.
Duty's not even good.
Yeah, Call of
Actually,
Duty
yeah, we
shit.
hate
Anyway,
it.
you
Yeah,
played
yeah.
the new ones. Fucking shit. Don't
We
worry
prefer
about it.
Battlefield.
We've told them they can keep it. We, don't even... we might make it a Sony exclusive, actually. Now that I think about
It's
it.
so funny. Yeah, but we'll do that after we gain control. Will you feel? Nah, but shh. Yeah, no, this is all bollocks, isn't it? This is all bollocks. I'm sure they do want to make money out of mobile, but to turn around and say that their current business model is come on.
Is basically broken.
Yeah,
And it's-
come
weird.
on. I mean, you can go back to quotes about a year ago where he was saying the complete opposite. So, yeah,
I mean, the suggestion that console growth has just just completely stagnated now seems wrong.
Yeah,
Hasn't,
absolutely
basically
wrong.
every
I mean,
generation outperformed the last.
so
Sony is, yeah.
So Nintendo have released one of their biggest selling consoles of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft announced that this is the biggest launch of an Xbox console ever, and Sony have now announced that this is the biggest launch of any games console ever. So, I mean, no, I don't think it is.
I mean,
Phil,
he may be talking about Game Pass and the idea that it's like leveling off in terms of how many subscribers they're getting, and that they're
or
not
he may
growing
be
it.
saying shit to try and because he's currently in a
Well, yeah,
fucking
there's
massive
obviously that
gravy.
as well. Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't appear
legal
to have
battle.
mentioned it specifically, but like we've talked before, like James was saying, like China, they don't have the same culture of console ownership. Like that's why mobile has taken off the way it has there. Maybe he's thinking about that. Like I don't think he's wrong in saying that mobile has more room to grow than home consoles. But it's strange that he's sort of suggesting that, like, oh no, look, every nerd on the planet has got a console now, so that's it. It's done.
Also, if he thinks he's going to get that Microsoft are going to get into like mobile gaming in China, that's not going to happen either because those markets are completely sewn up by like Tencent and NetEase and those companies. There's like no chance. It's I don't know.
Speaking about Call of Duty, there was actually another update for that today as well. Is that Microsoft said they've offered Sony a 10-year deal for it to remain on PlayStation. They said offer that deal on the 11th of November. Sony has now so far declined to comment on the claim.
Well, he's changed his tune again, then, hasn't he? Because he said it would be on there for like forever.
Well,
basically,
no.
saying
He
it's 10 years.
never said forever. He said as long as there's a PlayStation, which is vague anyway. Then he said he offered it for several years. Now he's saying 10 years. It's funny how I see like responses saying, "Well, it should be forever." Like, and then people saying, "Well, no contract's ever forever."
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Even if you
Forever,
intend
you-
to basically
you would never do that.
maintain
But,
it, you would still want to revisit the terms every so often, wouldn't you?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think
a
that they're
10-year
getting,
deal.
he's nervous about this. They're getting nervous about it because it's going to the EU Commission as well, and it's not been like all the other places have just been like Brazil that they were just like fine,
it's
whatever.
not been
but
as
then
smooth as he thought.
and it's like no, that's why there seems I mean,
Every
there's
week.
been other stories with this, and I'm ignoring on purpose because it's boring. Like having this every week about Activision Blizzard and Microsoft, and it's just it just feels like every week, every couple of
I don't
days,
think it
there's
is
something
boring
about
'cause
it.
it really shows that Microsoft
It
are
is.
panicking. The Microsoft are really. I thought it's like, yeah, obviously it's a big deal, but I thought it was relatively smooth. But they are panicking because they're talking every week. Phil Spencer seems to be, and always like,
I do.
I think that's interesting to see them like they're doing it. Like, oh, yeah, it's about mobile, it's not about COD. I love the fact that every week they're like, well, actually, it's about this, and actually, our consoles are shit. And
That's the thing.
I
It's
love
like,
that.
actually our business model is rubbish.
Yeah,
And
that seems
it's
like you rarely kind of see some executives. So actually, I think it's really interesting that we're seeing this side of it because they're
Interesting.
But
panicking
you
so
do wonder though, we're making fun, but we've all said previously we've got a lot of time for Phil Spencer. You do wonder if this is what he wants to be spending his time on.
Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely no way.
He wants to be playing video games, doesn't he?
He does. They are very good.
I was just interested there how James sort of stepped up and said, "Hey, I'm saving all our listeners from this. It's book has been really boring." And Matt was like, "I don't think it is." So I just think there's something to discover in that relationship. There's something building there. I think.
And
Maybe keep your eye on that.
David, Sean, do you think it's boring as well? I think it's quite interesting as we're seeing.
I think I'm not willing to comment just yet. Maybe
Well, not
after
about
the
us,
Game
is
of
it,
the
Dave?
Year show.
Not about
I
us.
will. What was that, Sean?
So it's not about us, is it?
It isn't about us. It's about you two at the moment. And I've just seen a bit of a divide before. I'm just seeing some interesting things as we lead into the month of December.
I
Next
think
news story.
James. That's what I'm saying. And I don't think I'm alone actually.
Okay. Anyway, next story is that Pokemon came out. Pokemon Scarlet.
Is that the news
what's the
story?
other
Is
one?
it?
Is it?
Is that the story? Is it? There's a Pokemon.
Just come on, just let me finish what I'm actually going to say.
Pokemon's
This is
out.
ridiculous. It's like I've got to provide some context as to what this is about.
I want to see James on 8 out of 10 Cats Do Countdown, where someone says something funny and he goes, "Stop it! finish it my sentence."
Yeah, but what you said wasn't funny. It was just a stupid
Pretty
statement.
fucking funny. People laughing. People
Anyway,
laughing.
That's the first time I've agreed with you today, actually, James.
So the user score on Metacritic for Pokemon Scarlet is 2.9 out of 10, which is pretty bad. And so basically, most people on the website are like citing there's like gameplay glitches, frame rate issues, problems with the graphics, textures, and all this kind of thing. So basically, there's a lot of people are upset about there seems to be significant sort of technical issues with the new Pokemon.
How
game that's
legit
come
is
out.
it? How bad is it? Because
I'm
I've also
seeing a lot
seen
of it.
people tweeting videos and saying, "Oh, I'm loving this."
It's interesting, and I've seen some videos of funny things happening and people pointing out it's like, no, this is like someone staging this on purpose. This isn't
Right,
something that
okay.
just happens in gameplay.
Right.
But there's still plenty wrong with it. But I think what is interesting is obviously, we've been saying for ages now that maybe the Switch just isn't up to it anymore. Whereas actually this is more to do with presumably pressure that's been put on the team, because these are bugs, right? This isn't just yes, the frame rate is poor at times, but there's more stuff going on than that, I think.
And that's been the thing, because there's been quite a lot of people online, like John Lineman of Digital Foundry and Imran Khan have both said this is actually down to Game Freak rather than the Switch itself.
Yeah.
Like Imran Khan said, the Switch is a system that can run Monster Hunter Rise in 30 frames per second or whatever, and it can't run this. Is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's it just seems that it's on Game Freak here. That they need to patch it all.
And because obviously Arceus came out and performance wise pretty iffy at times.
It's
all
all right. It wasn't that bad.
It was okay, but
It ran.
it did run. But draw distance and stuff when you were out and about was a bit poor at times and what have you.
But not as bad as Sonic Frontiers.
Save it, James. Save it.
But Arceus sort of got away with it because it felt like this weird, really interesting side project that sort of got released by accident, right? And then when they announced Scarlet and Violet, it was like, holy shit, they're putting out another game this year. How's that possible? And it turns out, it's only possible by shoving it out with loads of bugs. And I don't think that's the majority of the developers' fault. I think they've just been given way too much to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many people work there, but it just the fact that they've put out 2 full price games in 1 year. Surely that's too much pressure.
Christmas. This had to be a pre-Christmas game.
Well, yeah.
I guess maybe any other franchise, or maybe any other time of year they could have delayed it, but they could not have delayed it.
Well,
know,
yeah,
Like,
because
they could have delayed it into December, right? Like, if it's still Christmas
I
game,
don't
you
know.
can still
I
delay
mean,
it.
Maybe.
I'm assuming they're hoping that a lot of kids ask for Switches for Christmas. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's going to still. I mean, it's already said it isn't like the biggest UK launch in forever.
No, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
It's sold massively well, obviously.
Well, and this,
So-
and, you know, and again, we should say again, like it has reviewed quite well, and like people are enjoying it. It's just, yeah, it's things like have you heard that like you can't go in the shops? apparently, you just walk up to them and then like a menu appears, stuff like that, and it's
I love
like, yeah,
stuff like that.
this was a time issue. This was,
Yeah.
and like you say, yeah, I think it's just a case of getting it out because you know, obviously the biggest like Christmas buying period is you sort of late November to very early December.
Yeah.
So yeah, it probably just needed to be out now for Christmas because what else? What's the big Switch Christmas game if not this? I mean, Bayonetta 3.
This is it.
To people
That was so
like us,
weird.
but then
I remembered that come out like this week, and I texted you guys and said, "Oh yeah, Bayonetta 3 came out." Like that. I mean, obviously there was all that news story. I guess that kind of took over from the launch of the game for me. It was like, oh, there's this really horrible news story going around where everyone seems horrible.
just took the wind out of it, didn't it? It just
Totally.
Yeah,
and I didn't hear much about it after it come out either.
Yeah,
There's
I
like a
saw,
few really good review scores, and then that was it.
Yeah, I saw like a few people tweeting saying, "Oh my god, Bayonetta 3 is incredible," and then that was kind of it.
I might get 2.
2's very good.
Well, good. And I'll get 3 one day. It's just with everything else on at the moment, and it being full price, I can wait. No one's going to spoil it for me.
Well, it was like 30 quid. It's already down to 30 quid in most places, isn't it? Yeah. I saw a few tweets about that in a week. Okay.
But also with Pokemon, as Blue Lou in the chat says, there's like a glitch with it or something as well, where if you connect a second controller,
that's right,
then you hold the buttons in the same direction, you can run twice as fast, which is amazing.
That is brilliant. That game was not finished.
No. And
weird one,
what
isn't
hurts
it?
as well is that like it's probably not going to be patched, right?
Oh, sure.
Really?
I mean, this has got a lot of widespread, like coverage. I think they definitely will patch this
But it's still sold though.
Well, yeah,
but it doesn't mean you
this
don't.
isn't, like a few improvements here, or you could like improve quality of life stuff. This is stuff that's making the news. Like, I think they will.
It's not like them to extensively patch their games.
And it's not like Nintendo to let this sort of shit happen on their consoles, is it? It's crazy.
I know, like
it's crazy for a big game. Obviously, you get like indie games that will struggle, but like a big game, this is like, I know it's not not totally a Nintendo thing, but they have ownership of it, and
might as well
to some
be
extent
at this point.
Yeah. So they want this to sell their consoles. This is huge for them, and for it to be fucked. It's not a good look.
Rightly or wrongly, but it feeds into that conversation of like, Switch is fucking.
Is the Switch there?
Mate.
Yeah. And then they will start to worry. I don't know if this is all bollocks, right? Probably from my head, but there must be some worry of how close do we get to the next console before people go, I'll wait for the next console. Probably not. That's probably bollocks.
And that new console could be 3 months away, but they would not let us find out until Zelda's out.
But on this Scarlet and Violet, I mean, I absolutely loved Arceus. It was my first proper Pokemon game after just hammering Pokemon Go, and I'd played a little bit of Let's Go, Pikachu, but didn't really bother that much. But I loved Arceus. I think it's an excellent game. Loved everything I played of it, and I would really like to play this as well. I mean, there's no time at the moment with all the other things out there, but I'm hoping in the new year, if and when they do patch it, I'll definitely pick this up because, like I said, I loved Arceus so much.
Funny, because I 100% did Arceus, and now I'm at the stage where I never want to play another Pokemon game ever again.
You should stop. I stopped. Just complete the campaign and move and stop. You went too far.
Really complete it. That's the thing. It's like, there's more.
You see, I did a bit of the post-story stuff, and to be fair, Isaac was asking me to put it on the other day, and I managed to divert him to Splatoon 3 instead. So I would be happy to go back to Arceus because the post-game stuff did seem really good.
Has he not taken over yet? Isaac? Is he not giving a pad? I don't want you playing.
Depends. Usually not. No, you're usually quite happy to watch me play stuff.
And lucky boy.
I think once he's like properly learnt to read, I think that'll be a massive thing, because he just like, when he does play, he's just like, Daddy, what's this say? What's this say? What's this person saying? And so it's just, yeah.
I had a problem yesterday. I think it was. Was it? What day is it? Yeah, it was yesterday morning. Where Charlie was just on his pad on the sofa, and I was like, I'm gonna stick God of War in with my headphones, like just some in-ear headphones, so that he can't hear what's going on. And I was playing it, and I didn't even know he was looking up. He went, "Why is a man's head on that man's bum?" And I was like, "Let's turn it off now. What do you got? Should we run on the big screen now, do you?"
That's why I've been playing it on the backbone with that. But then that's the problem, because it's tiny, you just don't get the same experience.
It just sounds like you're trying to be cool. Like you've got some cool slang that you want to introduce to this.
I've been playing
to
it
the
on the
team.
backbone.
Hey man, I've been
on
playing
the
that game on the
backbone,
backbone. Don't play that game on the big screen. Play it on the backbone, baby. They are getting a lot of coverage. Should we?
Well.
Yeah.
Okay, last story is about Team Ninja. Because, okay, so Fumihiko Yasuda confirmed why the next direction is of Team Ninja and where they're going, and they're bringing back 2 series with this. So what it was they had a slide presentation at this G-Star conference, and the slide basically just said the future of Team Ninja, reboot of popular series. And that's kind of like it as the thing. And it turns out that it's going to be, obviously it's Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive are going to return. You know, they're going to like reboot
They're going
or whatever.
to return?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, they're going to return.
I hope they go back to... I've been playing Dead or Alive 2.
Really?
Yes. It's on the arcade stick thing. And my word, is that a fun beat 'em up.
Yeah, it's really
and I
good.
just thought... do you remember when Dead or Alive was just a little bit weird and not probably shouldn't be legal?
What, 3?
Do you remember those days?
3 was really good. Like 3
was amazing,
on Xbox,
yeah.
it was really
3 was
good.
amazing, and then they went. 4 was good as well. 5 was where they went.
That's when it's
weird, and then all the microtransaction stuff and all that. If you want to see, I mean, then all together, you pay for it. It's just like, oh mate, what is this? The base game's free, but they're clothed. Oh, is that what you're doing with this series now? Is it? Just bring out a good beat 'em up, man. Yeah. That's what I want.
And they were good. I really enjoyed those.
Yeah,
games.
so did I. They were never as technical as the proper beat 'em ups, but
still fun.
Just really good fun. Yeah.
I was just reminding myself what Team Ninja have been up to lately. It turns out they've done stuff that I just forgot was them.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I think.
I forgot that they did Neo and Neo 2. So Neo 2 was only a couple of years back. And they did that Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, that one that everyone took the piss out of, but was apparently quite good once you just accepted it was a bit tongue-in-cheek. Yeah. And they're doing that Rise of the Ronin, the one that's basically looks like Ghost of Tsushima, but fine.
Yeah.
So that's a few years off yet. But yeah, so they're still going.
Itagaki is long gone. You know, he was the creator of DOA, but because I was on this story, it's got what he's doing now, he's got this game. It's called Apex Game Studios, and it says he is currently incubating, in inverted commas, an NFT-focused MMORPG for mobile and PC named Warrior.
Arrest him.
That is what we want.
Arrest him.
Yeah. There you go. That's it. That's the end of the news.
It's the end of the news. So let's get to what you've been playing, and let's go back to God of War. It was the big game last week. We'd barely scratched the surface. We weren't that impressed. James, you've played it. Let's start with you. So you've played it. How far in are you?
I'm not very far in because I've just done the bit with the chimneys.
More Sonic?
No, I've played no Sonic this week. I've been that off now. I'm done with that for the moment.
You're done with it?
Okay.
Yeah, well, I probably will go back, but it's I'm fully on the God of War train now because it's
how many hours?
Game.
So because you played, let me get this right. You played 9 hours of Sonic last week, but you've ditched it this week, and you're fully on the God of War train. How far in?
I've got up to the bit with the chimneys. You know, the side missions.
It's about an hour in.
Yeah. It's more than that. Come on, it's about 3 hours in.
About an hour in, I think.
I mean, this is the guy that put like 20 hours a week into Pokemon Arceus for now.
And finish Elden Ring in like 42 minutes.
Yeah.
I can play, but those games I can play them like portably, whereas you can't do that with this.
No,
You know,
that's
which
fair.
is like hassle. You know, in the same way.
You can use a backbone to.
Yeah, but you've got a backbone.
Yeah, but it's not the same as it. 'Cause it's tiny, you know, on
You
the
just said it was
screen.
brilliant. You use it all the time.
Yeah, I do, but it's still
Yeah,
not as
but
good
there's-
as like. Just stop messing with me, okay?
No, I'm with James here. If
I
something-
know you're with James. We're all with James, really, but it's funny getting him all because he'll get all high pitched again, won't he?
Yeah, because you can't do that, but you can do that.
That's Sean when he goes all high pitched. Go on, James. Sorry, I'm sorry.
But I mean, so far I am enjoying it. Like, but I kind of see what you meant, David, last week when you were talking about it, where it's like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not blowing me away so far at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, it feels. I mean, as Matt said though, I do love the feel of the combat. It feels very solid and very meaty, and like also all the like traversal feels brilliant as well. Of like, you know, just climbing up stuff. It just feels so solid, which is nice, which I just said, which is nice. But then
Which you
it
just
is
said.
also, which I also just said.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
which is nice.
But
Which is nice.
there's been nothing amazing like so far, and I'm also finding. Also, the other thing you said about the upgrade options, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's
you-
ridiculous.
There's so many like.
I am
possible
starting to
things
understand it now.
do. Yeah.
But I am still like, there's way too much to.
I got a
focus
new
on.
one today. I was like, more?
Yeah,
There's more.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you don't have to focus. You don't have to do all of them, do you? Are you supposed to focus
No,
on certain
and
ones? Or
I think
something?
what I think what really annoys me about the upgrade system, for where I am now and what my understanding of it, is how some things are specific to specific things to upgrade. Right, so you can collect stuff and it says you've got one of these and this upgrades this once. Right, fine, but then you've also got combat XP. Which, so I'll go into the skill tree and go unlock this skill, this skill, this skill, this skill, and then I'll go to something like upgrade my shield, and it'll be like, well, you got no XP. I'm like, but what? But if I'd have known, you know, and I suppose you only do that twice and fuck up, but like it's not the shield, upgrade the shield. What is it? It's upgrading your like rage abilities or whatever. You need XP to do that, but like that's in a completely different menu. So the fact that you've got certain currencies that are very specific to specific menu upgrades, and you've got other currencies that span across upgrade menus. I feel a little bit cheated sometimes coming out of that menu, just going, I wouldn't have upgraded that if I'd have thought about that. You know, it's a weird
See,
complaint.
the other problem I'm having with it is I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed by that as well. Like
Yeah,
the fact that it's
at the
like I
start
don't know
it's
where
ridiculous.
to start with it. Like,
Well,
you
do
know,
you remember
what
the
to
advice I gave you for Cyberpunk?
do. Was it just focus on one thing? I can't remember.
No, just don't worry about it.
Just ignore it,
Don't
yeah?
even worry about it for a while. You go in, upgrade whatever you want. Just go up with anything that's got a little notification on it. Just upgrade that for a good 10 hours, and then start thinking, okay, I kind of see what's beneficial to upgrade now.
But on the other hand, also, I mean, aside from that, one of the things that this is a real step up from like anything I've played recently is like the dialogue and like the scripting and all that kind of thing is so good. It's like
ridiculous.
the characters are so amazing. Like, I mean, like Mimir, just like constantly hearing like this conversation going on and the stuff that he's talking about and saying, it really adds so much to the game. Like,
So you've been playing the first game, right, Sean?
Yeah, a little bit.
And you're playing that on your
On the deck.
On the deck.
Yeah.
You've not met me yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
Fucking incredible.
But he's amazing in 2018. He's like, and he's just as good again in this.
Yeah, I think he might be better in this one. Like the way his relationships with everyone, the way he talks to people. There are lines of dialogue in this that you go, oh shit, you are deeply entrenched into these relationships, and that is really important. You know, when you look at Atreus. When you look at Atreus, he looks, to me anyway, he looks at Kratos like a dad, and then Mimir as like an uncle. Like that's the way I see it, which really explains that, you know, how like close this relationship and interest in these relationships are, right? James, all I'll say to you is that, you know, I was very negative about this game last week, but I'd hoped for it. And it's funny, for the first like 6 hours, so most of the reviews and most of the people that were talking about it on Twitter before I started playing it were like, it's a really slow start. and suddenly something will happen and it will change immensely and it improves. So stick with it. The amount of times I'm going, this is it, this must be the level because this is really good, and then you go, oh, no it's not, because we're back to doing this again. And maybe this is it. No, this hasn't really changed anything, the plot isn't really going anywhere. And then I found the line, and what's incredible, it was shortly after we recorded last week, it's really weird, I've never played a game like it, where it's as if the developers have drawn a line in the sand and said, nah, this is the game now. And it's not a mechanical thing. It's not like hey, now you can explore. It's nothing like that. There's just one level where you walk out and you go, holy shit, this looks 20 times better than anything else I've seen. And it asks you to do something totally different. And a lot of people will play this little bit and go, well, this is boring, I'm not doing anything. And you're not, right? But it's a tonal shift. And suddenly you're focused in a little bit more to what everyone's saying. And then from there, it's just incredible. You see some of the most beautiful things I've seen in video games. You have some of the most interesting discussions, some of the best performances, some of the best fights. I'm not super amazed by the combat, right? And I knocked it down one difficulty setting because the combat, when you're one-on-one with a big heavy hitting enemy, it's fucking brilliant. Like it feels really good. Everything's compared to FromSoft games at the moment, but there are certain fights in this that really do feel like that, right? But the simplified version of this. So one of the things that I've never really liked the direction that From Software have gone in is the whole different phases for a single boss fight, right? I've never been a fan of that in FromSoft games. It's the direction they've gone in. All their games do it now. Most of the bosses do that. But I always preferred the straight up fights of, say, the original Dark Souls. You knew what you were going into for, and it was about concentration for a prolonged period of time, right? This is that, right? This is going back to that. There's no phases. It's just very straightforward. This is what you're doing. You're fighting this thing, and it's tough. What I don't like is when there's like a bunch of enemies, because I don't think it handles groups of enemies that well. They get behind you really easily, which is fine, but when they're hard hitting, it's kind of like, this is just annoying now.
Yeah, there's a bit of like fighting with the camera. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, fighting in groups just doesn't work as seamlessly as a one-on-one battle. And yeah, the combat isn't as good as FromSoft games. And again, having just gone off Elden Ring, obviously I'm going to compare it to that, but and I also knocked it down in difficulty. I wasn't going to, and actually it took until the last few hours. And I was just getting annoyed by fights. Like some were taking too long, and I would get through them, but it's just the 2 or 3 attempts to do them was annoying. I knocked it down in difficulty. Now I'm way preferring it. It's way more fun. I can think a little bit less about it. There's still, the fights are still difficult. There's still a lot of enemies. Still a lot of things.
Have you taken down one of those like gods yet? By the gravestones.
And I had to go one of them before I changed the difficulty, died, and then didn't bother going back since.
Oh, right, yeah. So because I've knocked it down, I did that, and that took me 3 or 4 goes. Like, it was still really tough, but really good fun. Really, that was as souls as it got. Like that was pure. But
the combat is way more fun now. I've knocked it down a bit. There are still some annoying bits. I've been kind of like stuck behind scenery, not in scenery, but stuck behind scenery loads, where and a bunch of enemies rush you, and you're suddenly stuck next to a grave or whatever.
Oh, really? I've not had that.
I'm not stuck in. I'm not clipping through geometry or anything. I'm just I've got I don't know. It just feels a bit messy and a bit.
I haven't enjoyed that. When you're getting attacked from behind, it's annoying because you get.
Yeah, no, that happens a lot, and it happens more and more in this game. And the game does this thing where you fight a tough enemy at the start of a level, and then midway through the level, it's like there's 2 of them. It's like okay, I get it. But that aside, yeah, I am so invested in the story now. I cannot wait to find out what happens. The themes that it touches on is absolutely superb. The characters, ones that I didn't particularly like in the first game, are shining through on this one. We're going to do very mild, very early spoilers. There was a character there's a character that we didn't mention last week, and there was a character that we didn't mention last week that we're going to mention now. But I thought in the week, oh my god, these characters are all over the marketing. So I don't think we should have worried, Matt. But
no, probably not.
yeah,
I think I'm worried because I didn't watch any trailers, so I'm like,
right, okay, yeah.
There's lots of things I didn't know. I'm like, oh
well,
shit.
Yeah, so we're over a week in now, but Thor and Odin are in this, and they are absolutely incredible. Both of the characters. I mean, Odin more than Thor, but their vision of Thor is so funny to me because I don't know much about these gods, right? I don't know about the mythology. I've never really been interested in it. Never really been taught it, right? But so the main touchstone I've got is the fucking Marvel films for this shit. You know what I mean? And
you not play Too Human, Dave?
Fantastic game. It's hilarious how different their vision of Thor is.
I know.
It's so
horrible, isn't it?
funny.
Because he turns up and I'm like, oh no, he's an arsehole.
He's an arsehole. He's horrible. And Odin. I don't know if this will be like a popular opinion, right? Because there's part of me that kind of thinks I could see why people would get upset by Odin's voice acting, right? I am absolutely blown away by it. Like it doesn't sound like something you see in a game. And as I said, Matt, when you hear Odin turn up, you expect I am Odin. You know, I expect this really big. I am king of Asgard, all this sort of stuff, and he's just like, come in, let's have a little chat. And, very softly spoken, but very sinister, sinister.
He reminds me more of like someone you'd see in a US like HBO drama. Like he just feels more like a multi-layered character, and there are bits we have like discussions with him and whatnot, and like some scenes just like what they're saying isn't particularly groundbreaking or different. You're just with him having conversations, but it's just so well delivered, so interesting, so multi-layered. You're trying to work out what he's really meaning by the words he's saying, how he's delivering it. You're kind of hanging off every word he's saying. There's some brilliant scenes where you're just with him, he's talking to you, you're walking through environments, and that was like, it was just so well done. It's so well done. And loads of games have done that, where you just you're learning about a story or a character, or then their needs, their desires, whatever it is, but it's just done impeccably well.
And I think I don't think it's bad to say that I think one of the main themes of this game is trust. Right, trust is a huge thing in this game. It's a huge subject that it explores, and I think Odin works into that as well. I genuinely do. I cannot wait to see which way they go with Odin from here. Put it this way, I'd be very surprised if he turns out to be the big bad guy at the end of it. I don't know, right? And I've got absolutely no idea. But there's part of me that's going, so what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here?
I think I agree with you there.
I don't actually know. And I think I will be disappointed if it's like, Odin's a really bad guy and we got to fight him at the end. If that's the way it ends, I think I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, you've got to imagine that's not the case, because you feel like he's obviously painted as the bad, the big bad, the main enemy or whatever. But it feels like there's way more layers that they wouldn't do that.
That's it, right?
And I don't know the story. I don't know how it ends. I don't even know general Norse mythology, as you mentioned, David. So maybe we're totally wrong, but it feels like they would not do that because it's more interesting. But who knows?
But this is it, and I think because the themes of the game is based around trust in various different relationships. Oh God, like every relationship, it's about trust. When you really boil it down, you think, oh, maybe they're challenging our relationship. This is where my head's at. I'm kind of thinking, are they saying, do you trust us with this story? Like, because if you do, should you? Because things might change wildly due to your expectations. And it does some really interesting stuff. Like, I don't want to go into this too much, right? But it goes into prophecy a lot. And whether prophecy is a prediction or if it's your destiny, right? So whether it's someone predicting something right and you can change it, or it is you can't change it and that's the way things are.
It's going to happen. It's predetermined. Yeah.
And that has made me think about what the writers of the game are doing. Like throughout this whole thing, like they're really fucking with me at the moment, and I'm fully in. I'm fully on board with it. So there's all that stuff that's absolutely brilliant. I think, look, this game's been in development for ages, right? If it was 2 years away, if this game come out in 2 years, I'd be saying, shit, this takes a lot of inspiration from Guardians of the Galaxy, like genuinely, because it's got a very similar format and very similar conversation beats, right? So you walk into your base, like you get your base quite early on. You walk into your base and everyone's chatting away. You know what I mean? And there's all sorts of stuff going on. It's all relevant. It's all interesting. And I just feel, this really feels like Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, of course, this game's been in development for ages, so there's no way that they've played Guardians of the Galaxy last year and gone, let's nick this. But it's amazing how similar it feels, It's got that. And I want to see that as much as I can in games. I love it.
See, and that's one of the things that I've enjoyed so far, particularly that whole thing of like confronting the past as well. And of like things that you've done in the past, and then and all that, and that's what I've enjoyed the most with the little I've played it so far. Like the conversations they have around that are very mature and like sort of well thought through, sort of things of if you go back and you try and right wrongs, but can you actually is it possible to do that?
Yeah,
and it's
I think it moves away from that stuff. I think that was I think that's what they wanted to do more. In the opening part of this game, but they couldn't tie it together well enough. And I think the line in the sand that I'm talking about, James, and those of you should know what I'm talking about if you've got this far in the game. But that line in the sand is where they go, we're not going to look back towards the God of War 2018 anymore, and this is something new. And I think it's so much better for it. And I think. So I'm like 20 hours in at this point, right? I think I'm entering the last acts of the game now. And, it's overwhelmingly positive overall, but I think its biggest problem this game is with the editing. And I think there's certainly some missions that could be chucked out. There's returning to locations. And I think if that's relevant and it works and it's interesting, let's do that. Like for example, right? Okay. There are moments in the game where you return home, but that is not your base. That is important and it works, and it just does it to make a point, right? Works. But there are times in it where it's like, let's go back to this realm, and you're like, actually, if you suddenly didn't just go, we need to find this thing to do this thing, we wouldn't have to go back there. You could have cut this, and the game would have been better for it. So it does that a couple of times that I'm kind of like, actually trim that shit down, especially the opening 5-6 hours, which I thought were quite lackluster. Trim that shit down, and but then at the end of the day, I'm still like, I'm at a point now where I'm 20 hours in, just going, I cannot wait to see what happens next. Like, I'm loving it. So maybe I need to calm down a bit.
We've had that kind of issue or complaint about the first few hours. The preview said that it feels very much like more of the same, and then I'm definitely in the stage now where it's changed. I'm 21 hours in, but I'm way further behind than David is because I'm slow. But I wonder, like, those first few hours being so 2018 part 2, like, is that gonna play into the story or anything? It just feels so deliberate that I think that first bit is so the game it was in 2018, and now it feels very much different. I mean, there could be narrative reasons for that, but I'm thinking, like, again, maybe I'm putting too much emphasis in how they're playing with the player or how they're kind of subverting expectations, but I think you are
because I don't think it feels necessarily different to the last God of War game after the bit that I'm talking about. I just feel that maybe they wanted to make a point of connecting the two games together, and then and that point was a little bit overemphasized. I think that's what it was. That was the stitching between the two games, and it was too long.
Have either of you been doing many of the side quest stuff, or have you just been mainlining mostly?
Not really. I always found. I mean, I certainly found this with the 2018 one. I don't know about any of you, but I always found the side quest stuff okay. Gave some story and some good stuff, but I always found it a bit of a ball ache to go off the beaten path. Whereas, like, where you've got games like, for example, what was the game where I've played like loads of side quest stuff? Oh, I don't know. But if you were to say Cyberpunk, for example, it's really easy to go and do side quest stuff because you can be driving past somewhere and go, oh yeah, that's that bit, and let me go and do that quickly, and then I can move on. Elden Ring, another great example. You know where you're supposed to be going, but let's just go in this cave and see what's happening. Whereas this, I feel it's more like connected corridors in a maze, and if you go down the wrong corridor, that's fine. Sometimes they have a go at you for doing that, which is annoying. Like, that's not the right way.
Yeah,
like, yeah, but I want
I've
to.
had a bunch of issues with that, actually.
Yeah.
Like, you know how we were saying, like, in the best design games, that, you know, it might be an open-ended game or open world game, but like you go away and it just so happens that that is the right way to go because of the way the level's been designed. You know, there might be lights or whatever it is, and you're like, oh wow, I thought I was exploring, but actually the game, you know, was following
led around
the right way magically, and we're like, wow, that is incredible design. This feels like the polar opposite of that, where there's like two ways, and yeah, like I don't get the enjoyment of, oh, is this the right way? Because I'm like, I'm basically have to check the other way because there'll be a chest there might be an item there might be.
Have you done that thing where you've gone?
So I'm like, I'm not even getting enjoyment because.
Matt,
so what?
Have you done that thing where you've gone? Oh right, here's the crack in the wall that I need to go to get to the next bit. And you shuffle through it and you go, no, this is the way I come in. Let me shuffle back again.
I've done it a couple of times. But more, what I do is, I'm like, okay, I think this is the way to go. I'll go a bit further. It is, in which now I need to go back and check all the places I didn't go. Because if I go through here and there's a cutscene, then I'm kind of like, you know. So there's lots of bits. I'm like, is this that is the way? Okay, I better clear up those 2 or 3 extra. You know,
God of War's always been bad for that. Like, it's always, there's so many moments where you're like, well, that is obviously the way to go, but there is also a path here, and there will definitely be a chest at the end of it. And on the one hand, like, good that it's, you know, it's legible in that way, but also, yeah, it reaches a point where you're like, but I just want to crack on, but I know I'm just wasting an opportunity by not going on the side path first and just opening a chest. But yeah.
There's also, this game has loads of bits where it says, no, you can't do it yet. Like, I mean, I haven't got whatever it is I need, but I see it's like, there's like cracks in walls where there's like there's steam coming out of some, or there's some where it's like it's cracked but it's like lit up, and I'm like that I saw that pretty early on. I'm like, no, you can't do anything about that. It's like, I mean, I obviously in all these kinds of games there are things where you get later in the game and they enable to unlock, or they enable you to see or unlock later areas. That's cool, but for you to see these things straight away. Yeah. You know, and it's like, okay, I better Google it saying how to get in, like, you know, lit up crack area because, you know, because it's not obvious. And so, like, it's making me have to Google things I don't want to Google because it's like, I don't know. I just feel like that stuff, I'd rather not see that yet. Like, have that later on where you get the thing you need to actually unlock or access those areas. There's been so many bits like, you can't do that yet. I'm like, well, that's some things I have already done.
Yeah.
So, no, you can't do this specific one. So, yeah, you see a lot of limitations. It's kind of weird in that regard.
Can we stop? I know it's not good to stop the podcast, right? But can we just take a timestamp to thank Tristate1, who's gifted 25 tier 1 subs in the chat? I think
that's
something like that. We got to stop and just say thank you very much, because that's unbelievable. Thank you so much for that. Shit. Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you.
They've gifted a total of 75 subs in this channel.
Blimey.
Thanks, man.
Gifted one to me. I'm on the list.
Am I on the list? Oh, I don't think I am. Right, okay,
yeah,
sorry.
So
I'm sorry, Matt.
21 hours in, I'm really enjoying it. And it seems to be getting better and better. And
yeah, I've seen some. Some of the boss fights have just been absolutely brilliant. Some of the special moves have been absolutely mind blowing. The story is just so good. I nearly cried at one bit the other day.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot of people say there's a bit where they actually cried, or they're very close to crying.
I've got a feeling by the end I'm going to be a blubbering mess, to be honest with you. I'm so invested in it.
That kind of stuff with this game, but I assume it's the same bit. Maybe there's multiple bits, but I've heard
no. This bit felt like actually this probably no one gave a shit about this line except for me. That's the feeling.
Well, I've heard multiple people say I cried or got close to crying at a certain bit. So, oh dear.
Which is amazing considering.
Sorry.
I was just saying, like, it's amazing considering what God of War used to be, and I'm not.
Well, this This is it, isn't
Go
it?
on.
This is it. Because
I know this isn't me talking shit about God of War 1 to 3. I mean, yeah,
No.
certain things in them in hindsight very problematic. By and large, those games knew what they were, and that is fine. But it's just very cool to see that evolve. Do you know what I mean?
But I can see fans of those series looking at this and going, "What have you done to my Kratos?" Do you know what I mean? Like, because Kratos was, he was. I didn't play the games, right? I played one of them for about 3 hours, so I'm not an expert by no means. But Kratos was a ball of rage, and that was the character, right? It wasn't. It was less of a character, more of an emotion,
Yeah,
and
but
that's
he could
what
hug the ghost of his family to get his health back, Dave.
but could you imagine being really into that and saying, I'm going to try this new God of War game. Let's just see how bad they've made Kratos. And the opening menu is him on a log looking down on the floor going,
Looking a bit anxious.
yeah, looking a bit sad and whatever. I just think for fans that are like deep into those first like few God of War games, they must be sitting there just going, "What have you done to my god?"
But no, but this is the thing, because as I was playing this, I was just thinking, I wish, because I never played those games like those earlier ones, and I was like thinking, I wish I'd be very interested to go back to that time period and see what Kratos is like then. But can't we take this level of writing and this quality to that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know, because
not
I think
remake
the way,
it. It'd
the
have
way
to be a
those
complete
games
restart.
were just sort of actively resisted that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's what I'm
Because
saying. But you could completely, but just bin them, forget it. Just make new ones that are
the same setting, the same. Yeah, I guess. I think you would still find. I don't know. I don't know how you could take those stories and with like good writing. I don't know how you could redo those stories with good writing, because ultimately what Kratos is doing and the events he's reacting to and everything are so one note.
Yeah, there
Which
would be
is fine. I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I don't
Are you saying
know
that
if you
David
could take.
Jaffe is not an amazing writer, Sean?
Ooh, I think he's very good at googling his own name, so I'm not going to say anything about him.
Who isn't?
David Jaffe.
No, I mean, who isn't good at googling their own name?
So
I do
you
it
know
all
what
the
I
time.
mean?
It's
I
great.
mean, he's a prolific looker up of people who say things about. I may have made that up.
Oh, is it really? You worried that you're going to get found out here?
I may be confusing him with someone else. But,
Could we name the show this week David Jaffe?
Listen to
David
this.
Jaffe special.
David Jaffe special. Is that enough? I don't know. Yeah, I guess that is enough.
We're going to talk more about it. I mean, I don't know. I swear I read it was like a 22-hour game. I mean, obviously I'm slow anyway, but now I'm thinking like a way over 30+ hour game. So
I feel that I'm heading towards some sort of conclusion, and I'm 19 and a half hours in, I think. So I think maybe about 3-4 hours left. I think
this time next week you would have maybe.
Yeah. I'll have it done this time next week, I'd have thought.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk about it more. I mean, we're not going to spoiler cast, but at some point we'll obviously be able to talk spoilers. I'm sure
we'll talk more about it.
I imagine there'll be loads of cool stuff to talk about if the story goes.
PC release 2023. Book it in. Once I've done it, we'll.
I'm interested to see what you think of the first one, Sean, because I think you will end up loving it.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think you'll stick with it, Sean?
I do. Yeah, that was like my sort of test for. So now that I've got the Steam Deck back, which they haven't fixed, by the way.
Cool. Yeah,
really pleased with that. So it's like the first game where I've just put it on, like, with the Steam Deck in the dock and on the telly and everything, and I'm not comparing it to having played it on something else. Do you know what I mean? So probably doesn't look as good as it could, but I'm just seeing it for what it is on the Steam Deck. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, put a couple of hours into it, had a really good time. So
have you got like a third-party dock or the official one? Which one did you get?
Third-party one.
And you're using an Xbox pad, I assume, or
yes, yeah, it's an Xbox 360 pad, but yeah,
cool.
360 pad?
No, sorry, it's an Xbox One pad. Sorry, just not a Series One, so it doesn't have the share button, guys.
Can't share that
really,
stuff.
Really,
Cannot
really
share that stuff. Sean,
those clicky shoulder buttons, for the original release.
No. He wouldn't have had one of those. They were the original Xbox One release. They were fucking insane. Those controllers.
That was a day one edition.
Yeah. Was it Project? No, that wasn't Project Scorpio. That was the
Project Scorpio was a 1X.
That's right.
It was day one edition.
It was day one edition for them. Right. That's what we've been playing basically. Sean, I've got another game, but should we talk about the game that we've both been playing first before you do yours? Or
I've only put literally 25 minutes into this.
I've not put much more into it, but it's not that long, is it? About an hour? Actually, maybe probably an hour and a half.
Well, this is it. I mean, you only need to spend 10 minutes with it.
What the Bat is the name of the game. I've just realised that we've not sang it.
Yeah.
Do you remember a couple of years ago a game called What the Golf? Do you remember that, Matt? You were a fan of that?
Love that.
It was. Do you remember when Apple Arcade was good? It was one of those.
I went to download and play it today, but you can only play it via Apple Arcade on the iPhone. Yeah, brilliant. So it's not like I can buy it either.
Also, it didn't even come to Switch or other platforms.
It was on PC.
Yeah,
it's definitely on PC.
Yeah.
I'm sure it came to Switch.
Did it really?
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to buy it on Switch then, because I mean,
it was good. I enjoyed it on phone. It was fine.
What the Golf was a game that we all played at an EGX once and fell in love with because, how do I explain it? It's a golf game, and
is it?
But first off, you pull back like as you always do in golf games. You pull a power bar back and you hit the golf ball into a hole. Then the second level, you pull the golf ball back, and then the power bar like goes forward instead of the ball, and you go, oh right, I've got to get that in. Next time you go to pot the ball, and then the hole moves. It goes whoop like that. Next time you do it, and then the hole moves, and you're actually controlling the hole rather than the ball. It's stuff like that, and it evolves, and it's got hundreds and hundreds of levels where it changes things over and over again. Well, this is their next game called What the Bat, and it's a VR baseball game where it challenges you to hit things with baseball bats that are a replacement for your arms. And it sounds very simple, very basic. And I would say that if you've played What the Golf, you know exactly what to expect. But even though you know exactly what to expect, it still manages to surprise in ways that original What the Golf does and make you laugh. Yeah. So I've spent about an hour and a half going from level to level, and the idea is they're sort of micro challenges where you go, in this one I have to hit the ball and it needs to hit the trophy, and that gets me through to the next level. In this one I've got to pick up the ball and chuck it into the basketball thing, and then that brings down the trophy. And in this one I've got to hit it over to that house over there and through the window, and the trophy will fall out. So it's you arriving in an environment, looking around, saying, what's the game asking me to do this time? Working it out, doing it, and laughing because it's usually pretty funny. And it goes places that you really wouldn't expect. Like, for example, you've got bats for arms and hands, and initially you're just hitting stuff with it. And then suddenly the game goes, okay, now pick up this complicated object using your two bats. So you are literally holding like a ball or something with these two sticks and moving it over to...
And then the one, again, this is like 10 minutes in, not a spoiler, but then the one which like, right, now brush your teeth.
It's
like look in the bathroom mirror, and you have to like put the one bat sort of in the sink. The toothpaste is on the side of the sink, and then you have to use this, your left hand bat to like whack the toothpaste, squirt it onto the one bat, and then just like, on your face.
It's brilliant because I did that, and it took me a little while to work out what the game was asking me to do, and then Harry did it. And what's brilliant, Oculus have really sorted out that whole, hey, you in an Oculus headset, press this button on your app, and you can see what they're seeing, right? They've really made that simple now, right? So Harry was playing it. I opened up the app. I went to the broadcast thing, and I was watching what he was watching. So I was, sort of giving him hints or whatever. It's amazing how the game teaches you that you should be brushing your teeth in that, because the first thing you do is you look in the mirror and you see your character, but your character keeps doing this.
Yeah.
Keeps like showing their teeth. So you go, oh, that right, okay, that's it's clever with stuff like that. There's a sinister side to the game though, Sean, and I'm wondering if you're as freaked out by it as me.
Oh, go on. I don't think I might not have come across this yet. Go on.
You definitely come across it, but it's clearly just me then. The fucking elephant man scares the shit out of
Oh
me.
no, I love him. I thought he was just like an imaginary mate.
So I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
So there's an elephant that is in every single level, and it just stands there watching you. It's like a cartoon elephant. Sometimes they're involved in the games themselves,
Yeah.
but most of the time they're not. And the worst, the worst. This is a spoiler. I'm sorry,
Go on.
but we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
The worst is when you look behind you and there's no elephant, and you look in the mirror and the elephant's right behind you. And you
trying to be
look
scary.
back, it's not there. You look there, and the elephant's like right there looking over you, and you're like, "Fuck this!"
But then that
horrible.
plays into one of the puzzles, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
But there's also times where you're like at a breakfast table, and it's like, eat toast or whatever. And you look around, and like the elephant is like an inch behind your head, and you're just like, I can't. You look around, and you're like, all right. I
great.
hate
I love
that
him.
fucking elephant, man. You got time
That's
for the
horrible.
elephant.
Yeah, I love him. No, he's good.
It's horrible.
He's a good mate.
What I love about this game the most, though, Sean, it's the polar opposite to like the metaverse thing they're trying to sell us.
Yep.
This is a fun little experience,
Yeah, contained,
and you're going to
single
have a
player,
lot
yeah.
of fun.
Yeah.
You're going to laugh a lot, and it's stupid and intuitive, and that's what I want to play on my quest.
Yeah.
I don't want to enter a world of people.
The fact that
I
there's
want-
like zero, like when you load the game up, and it's like, right, here you are, you're in level 1.
Yeah.
There's not even
Yeah.
a title screen, like no fucking around.
There is.
Well, there's
later on.
a few sort of like trials in the title sort of appears and stuff. But do you know what I mean? When you first load it up, and it's just like, oh right, all right, I'm off. That's
Yeah,
it.
the only non-intuitive thing in the game was when I found the reset button,
Yes.
which I won't spoil. But I was kind of like, oh, I remember you trying to tell me that at one point, but I didn't understand. I actually just exited out of the level and then went back in because I thought it was fucked. But there's a reset level button,
Yeah.
and when I found that, I was like, oh, okay, well, they thought of everything then, haven't I? It basically, if you've got a quest, absolutely buy this. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's really good fun, and it's one of those games that you'll be sticking on people's heads. When they come over, do you want to try VR? Have a go at this. This is fun. Work out what you're supposed to do, and because there's no text, no tutorial, no, it's just you sit there and try stuff, and it works, and you're trying to work out what the game's asking you to do. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Highly recommended.
Agreed.
What else have you been playing in VR, Sean?
I've also been playing, and I know this every time they release a new course, I go on about it. I'm doing it again, and I'm sorry, but I'm not. Walkabout mini golf.
It's one of the best games. It's one of the best VR games.
It's and the Myst DLC has come out. The Myst
Oh my
course,
God,
as in
they're so good with that stuff. Like the choices they make.
Yeah. And it's so I didn't really play Myst back in the day. We definitely had it in the house, but I was too stupid to play it. Didn't really get it. It's a game that I've wondered if I should now try, because obviously I'm super fucking clever now, aren't I? I'm really
strange
intelligent.
thing.
They
fucking
released it as
strange.
well really badly, or it's actually not as bad as we
Well,
thought
this
it was.
is it, yeah, because I know it's, people talk about it as like, because it was huge at the time, like it sold like fucking millions of copies, etc., etc. But you never hear of anyone being like, oh, mate, you should check out Myst. You've never played Myst, fucking hell.
No, there are some people that are really sort of like hardcore into it as like a thing, but it
they
always
weird,
feels
though?
a bit. Well, it always feels a bit
the
like one of those
Mysties.
things where it was
I
like
think they call
that's
them
the only
Mysties.
game that they had.
Yeah.
And it's, because it came with their CD drive with the computer.
So basically they've turned the island that is in the old game Myst. Well, I say the old game. There's a remake of it. I think there might have been a couple actually, but there's one on the Xbox which I thought was on Game Pass, but it's not. It's £25. So yeah, and I never played the original, but obviously I know enough of it. Like I know sort of the layout of the island and stuff, and that island is the golf course, and like as I've alluded to before, there's been like you can play, the other courses they've put out. You can play a round of golf, 18 holes, start to finish. But then in hard mode, there's these like riddles, and there's clearly like a love for like puzzles and escape rooms and stuff. So it's like, shit, what are they gonna do with like the Myst course, right? Because that is a puzzle game, and yeah, like it has not disappointed. There is stuff going on in that course that I don't understand yet. There are things you can interact with that and again, I don't know if this is because I've not played Myst. Maybe if I had, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's the switch that does this and da. But yeah, there are levers and buttons and things to interact with, and they presumably do something. So that's really fun, and it obviously uses like some of the so they've added this thing with this course where in one of the holes there will be like panels on the ground, which if you knock the ball over them, they will activate certain things, like they'll make a barrier appear, or they'll move something out of the way, or they'll do something that that moves the ball where it needs to be. They're really cool. And then there's some where like you're looking for like environmental clues as to which of these panels you need to touch with the ball before you can progress.
Yeah, awesome.
Stuff like that. Really, really smart. It's interesting. Like each of the holes is like they're all really small compared to the previous courses, which makes sense because obviously all the other courses were made up, right? They can make them whatever size they want, whereas with this one they've had to go. Right, well, this is the island where we've got to fit 18 holes of a golf course in.
Right.
So you can tell they've been sort of limited with the space, but the way they use it is absolutely superb. Yeah, it's a big surprise. There's a new course of Walkabout mini golf, and it's brilliant, and it's £2.50.
Is all the puzzle elements are they in just if you go for the harder mode, or is that every level?
We should do one of those riddle ones, like from the main game.
Yeah,
I really want to do one.
They're ace. They're really, really good.
I think Chris would be up for it. John, when we were playing that quite regularly, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play some more Walkabout mini golf, man. And I want them to bring an Only Fools and Horses DLC out next. Is that too much to ask?
Is that the thing, isn't it? Because it's one of those where everyone's got their own ideas of like what they should do.
Go on then.
Sean.
Tiger Woods PGA Pro Tour.
Put me on the fucking spot now.
Well, you said everyone's got an idea.
Yeah, everyone but me.
James. Chelsea one.
Yeah.
Of course, around Stamford Bridge.
Yeah,
I'm a true blue.
Against John Terry.
I'm down the shit end. Just doing it.
Mario 64.
Yeah, but they can't do that. You've got to be reasonable. Only Fools and Horses.
I'll pick up the rights for that, no bother. But yeah, like they've said in interviews and stuff, like obviously we've got way too many ideas to take on anyone else's.
Like... Shut up. So here comes some more. Argos. Like just in a local Argos. Imagine that.
What?
Like in one of their warehouses.
Because you could start going in through the door.
Oh my god! You've got to sort of hit it off one of their little panel machines. Maybe Argos is through the years, so you could have the ones with the little cards and the pencil.
Yeah.
I think if you're leaning into what they've done with licenses, Perfect Time, Perfect Environment, Home Alone.
Ooh,
that would be good.
The various environments in the movie,
setting off like the paint.
But then does it feel a bit weird if you're like... Are you one of the robbers trying to get in the house, though?
No, you're Macaulay
maybe
Culkin.
That could be like the backdrop.
No,
I don't know,
you're stopping the Rogers.
Did you just say Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah. Well, he's Culkin in that film.
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin. You're him, and you're setting off the traps, aren't you? When the ball goes in the hole.
Moving around. I guess. Yeah.
Just without the tarantula bit, because
and then also, but that's the thing. You can have the screams in it as well. It'd be brilliant.
Fucking you with the screams whenever that
fucking animal.
comes up.
Because the screams in that film are all timers. They're so good.
Yeah.
Sean. Also, Myst is out on the Quest. You can play it on Quest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that might. Oh, would that be a good stream, or would
Fully
that just be a lot of not knowing what to do?
Yeah, both. Do you remember one of my favourite stream moments was when James didn't know what to do in LA Noire. Remember? Check the pockets, James. I have checked the pockets.
That was so good. Yeah, that was incredible.
The worst thing with that was when you had to punch somebody and I hadn't figured out that you had to like
to
make it do it. So I was just slapping him and I was just slapping him for about 10 minutes.
Let's not go past the bit where like we're all screaming like like he turned the body over, like I've checked everything, I can't see a thing.
James, I genuinely haven't laughed more than watching you do PSVR where it's had text to speech for the chat.
Oh my God,
just
yeah.
so fun. Hello, James. Hello, James. Hello, James. James, maybe try the.
So good.
God, please do
Or
one
just
of those
playing
things
massive
again.
messages that were like taking over the entire stream.
Yeah, or when we I pretended that Ian Lee had entered the chat. This was before you sort of part of the show or whatever. But we said, hi, James, is Ian Lee here? I don't want to check because I'm pretty sure you are taking the piss. And everyone was just writing, hi, Ian. This better not be true. Are you winding me up?
I cannot believe there's been a raid.
Yeah, you have been raided by Dr. Disrespect.
Sean, I was just watching the trailer for this, and I've wondered, like, would it have been like the old Myst kind of graphical style? It's not, but which makes
3D.
sense.
They've reinterpreted it in the Walkabout mini golf style, which
I wonder
is
if they
fine.
kind of do like the old pre-rendered style, but So this is like the 5th or 6th one they've done. Then they've done loads
fucking
more than
loads.
that.
So they did. So they added more free courses to the game for a bit. They added like another 2 or 3, I think, and they've since done. So they did 3, which are now like the Lost Cities collection. So there's Shangri-La, Babylon, and another one that I've forgotten. They were all really good. And then and then the other trilogy they're doing is the Jules Verne ones. So we've had 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, presumably Journey to the Center of the Earth, and Around the World in 80 Days. That's a guess. But now they've also put this Myst one out. Oh, and Labyrinth as well. Fucking Labyrinth.
Yeah, that's Labyrinth,
which is amazing. And it's interesting because obviously Myst is like, this is literally the island, whereas obviously Labyrinth, they were like, well, it's an interpretation of the scenes from the film, and they sort of made a theme park out of it. So yeah,
I so want a Quest 2 now. All this chit chat is making me really want.
They're on offer.
It's
It's 350, but that's with Resi 4 and Beat Saber, which are 2
I'm
games.
not saying that. I'm saying that's a good price.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's a bad price. I just can't. I can't spend 350 quid just before Christmas.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the Quest 3 and see what that's going to be.
That's probably the right move. I'm just
When's
worried.
that?
I'm just worried it's going to be 700 quid. Well, we don't know. It's next year, right? But that's beyond that. We don't know anything, do we, Matt?
I'm not saying anything.
Matt's little face. Look at Matt's little face.
I'm not saying it. I know everything.
Sitting on his secrets. It's fine. I don't
Keep
actually
your
want you to lose your
secrets
job,
then.
Matt, look at me.
Yep.
Wink if it's going to be £700. There's a wink there. There was a wink
I
there.
didn't
There was a wink there. There was a wink there. Did you see that? We all
Didn't
saw the
do a
wink.
thing.
We all saw the wink,
Definite
and the
wink.
thousands of listeners will know that now.
I didn't do a thing.
Okay, sure. Next.
Because that means it's not going to be £700.
Okay.
Very
He's
quick
done
one.
it again, that tri-state one.
Oh my god,
50 tier 1 subs. Oh my god, that's absolutely insane.
that is nuts. Thank you
so
so much.
That is incredible. Yeah.
You're gonna have to take down another note there, Matt.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh my god, Chris, don't. Chris has now got a subscription to her.
Wow. Thank you ever so
I think
much.
we're probably now in the realms of people who haven't actually watched anything from us for ages. That are just going to be like, oh, cheers.
Did I call it Tristate? Isn't it Tri-State?
Tri-state, I
Tri-state,
guess. Yeah,
What's the matter with me?
Yeah.
What is the matter with me? Right,
that
okay,
is amazing, mate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. We really do appreciate it. Right, okay. Let's go back a little bit.
I'll just
okay.
Yeah.
So yes.
Go on.
So what else you got? Sorry, Sean. What else you got?
A brief one. Vampire Survivors. Still playing it.
It's on my list.
And I've gone from like, it looks kind of rubbish, but actually it's pretty good, to like, oh, this is fucking brilliant. I absolutely adore it now.
Yeah.
So on the PC version, I'm now up to 20 hours on it.
Yeah.
And
I'm worried. I saw like videos of this and I was like, oh no, do you know what it reminded me of? And I could be way off here. A little bit like a clicker. Because there's part of it that just looks like, oh, once you do this, it automates all this. And I'm like, oh no, that's going to kill me.
There's enough interaction, and it's still, like with a clicker, you kind of, as long as you eventually pick all the things, you will do well, right? There's never, there's more efficient routes to take, but basically you'll unlock everything by the end. Whereas with Vampire Survivors, it's like you've only got a limited number of slots for items, so you're trying to make those like smart choices as you go and sort of figure out what your build is going to be by minute 20 or whatever. And it's just and just working your way through, figuring, like I was saying, like all the item combos that then unlock these like evolutions. And I'm now like I'm unlocking like shitloads of like secret characters and stuff. There's one that is clearly Bayonetta, right, and has like her own weapons and stuff, who are clearly Bayonetta's guns.
Right.
Don't really know how they got away with that, but don't mind. I've just gone like well deep on it now. Like I say, figuring out all the item evolutions. There's like sorry James, there's a card system, but it's just like a buff thing, right? So there's like certain ones you can choose, and again, by doing certain things in certain levels, you unlock more of those, and each of those, like, so the first one I got was like, it like improves your healing abilities, and allows you to do more damage when you've recently healed. And then there's one that's like every projectile weapon now bounces off things, so they all feed into specific builds, right? I fucking adore it. I've been playing it so much, and like Isaac's well into like watching me play it as well now, which has been ace. Because he's just going nuts every time. I'm like, oh my god, Isaac, right? This is going to evolve this weapon now, and then it's just like this fucking laser show all over the screen. Because obviously he saw me go from like starting a game where I'm like, okay, here's me with a magic wand that's going, pew, 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 just shooting one magic bolt, killing some bat, and he's like, this is boring. I'm like, give me 10 minutes. And then and he's like absolutely losing his mind by the end of each run, because it's just like the stuff that's going on is just absolutely nuts.
Are you playing this on? Are you playing this on Steam Deck or on Xbox or what?
I'm playing this on PC and Steam Deck. Yeah, so because I already owned this on Steam before it came to Game Pass. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I played a bit on the Xbox and sort of and I was like, why am I doing this? I've already got 10 hours sunk into the PC version, so like it's not like, has it got ray tracing on the Xbox? No, I don't know. It looks exactly the same. So I'm sticking with the PC version. Absolutely love it.
Cool. Yeah, I need to go back to it. Like,
it's on my list.
The stuff that's changed since. I mean, I played it ages ago, and it was, it's probably changed so massively now that
it's honestly, it's there's so much more stuff in it now than there used to be.
It's on my list.
It's brilliant.
Really, it's on my list.
Cool.
It's on my list.
He's checking it twice.
Gonna find out if it's shit or not. Gamer, the year is coming up soon. Questions?
If you would like to send us a question, go to TCGS.
I thought you were continuing the song thing then.
I've just got a naturally musical voice.
If you would like to send us a question,
I'm always rapping, like William Shatner. I just said. Go to tcgs.co/dear TCGS. Tom Thumb says, hello lads, enjoyed the Wii U chat and your predictions about the Switch successor, but please help me settle a bet. I argued that without the Wii U ports, the Switch's first party offering would be slight. My friend begs to differ. We decided to follow Adam Capone's example and wager a £25 Amazon voucher. Would the Switch's first party library be enough to make it a success? Appreciate you all.
Right, so let's think about it. So think about the main games.
I mean,
New Zelda, I would say that doesn't count.
I was going to say, Breath of the Wild, is that a port?
I would say Breath of the Wild is a Switch game because it came out at the same time.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah, it's simultaneous, wasn't it?
I would say, obviously, so this console would not have a Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It would now have...
It had Splatoon 3.
It had Splatoon 3.
Ring Fit.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about what were the ones that they actually ported. So they ported Super Mario 3D World,
Pikmin 3,
3.
Skyward Sword HD got. I mean, that's from.
But then were any of those like they weren't like holy shit, Pikmin 3 is coming to the Switch? Do you know what I mean? Like,
there was
exactly.
Games, but so Treasure Tracker, and
Mario Brothers U that came out.
Yeah, Mario Brothers U Deluxe come out, didn't it? So let's look at the. I would say the best games on that system from Nintendo are Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that
I
you
think
guys really
Mario
liked,
Kart's
wasn't
on that list, and that is obviously a port.
it? That is a port.
I loved Bowser's Fury, but that came with Mario.
Yeah,
3D
I don't know
World.
if Bowser's Fury counts because it only came.
Yeah, there's also Metroid Dread that came out on it.
Yeah,
that never
but
came out.
is that up there?
Yeah,
I think
definitely
that's
that's
right.
up there. That was a very good
No
game.
way is it up there with
It
Odyssey
is.
and
No, it's
Breath
not
of
up there with
Wild.
Odyssey, but it's still a very good game. Like if
Yeah,
we're
in
talking
the
about games
pantheon of big Switch games
that have made it
100%.
worth owning a Switch, that is one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I
So
know
the
we all
question
hate
is-
it now, but like Animal Crossing as well is another big one.
Yeah.
The question is,
There was never
I
one of those
argue-
for Wii U.
without Wii U ports, the Switch first-party offering would be slight.
I don't think it would.
No, because I think some of those ports, like Mario Kart 8 being the big one, were substantial, whereas I think a lot of the Wii U to Switch ports were nice to have, but
Yeah.
not like.
They
Okay,
definitely filled the gap, didn't they?
but that's
They filled
not
the
the question,
content gap
right?
when they were like,
What
we need
about Labo as well?
That's not the question, right? Okay, so James, the first-party games,
Yeah.
you're saying that count as the big hitters for Switch.
Yeah.
You're saying Odyssey.
Yeah.
You're saying Breath of the Wild. You're saying Dread.
I'm saying Animal Crossing as well.
Animal Crossing.
What else?
Splatoon 2 and 3, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
Splatoon 3.
Splatoon 2 arguably was not very different from Splatoon 1, but then neither was 3 from 2.
3 was not good.
Luigi's Mansion 3.
Like Luigi's Mansion 3 was very good. Yeah, you're right.
Mario Maker 2.
Mario Maker 2, yes. Yeah, that counts.
I know we weren't into it, but I'm just looking at the chat. ARMS
Yeah,
was very good
it was good.
by most people.
No, I don't.
Well, I
I mean,
know-
it was
I
a
mean,
first
but
party
some
offering,
fans-
so I guess you can.
incredible
But
game.
you're looking at 7 games over the course of 6 years.
Still
I mean,
more than
we
Xbox
forgot
have
a lot.
done.
But then, are there any of aside from Mario Kart 8? Are there any of the ports that you were like, oh, thank fuck, this is coming out at least? Do you know what I
Wow.
mean? Were there any of them that really beefed it up that you were like,
Oh, Yoshi,
That's true.
What about Yoshi's? Was it Yoshi's Crafted World? Wasn't that?
oh yeah,
Yeah, and Kirby's.
which was excellent.
Yeah, I would say. Okay, I'm willing to say. You've charmed me. I will say that no, it's not been slight without Wii U ports. I think the Wii U ports are nice to have. In one instance, it's a fucking essential and has literally taken the place of a new game. In Mario Kart, but the others have been a nice to have, especially the like of 3D World, which is one of the best Mario games of all time. Having that transferred over or ported over
But with
to
Bowser's Fury as
3D
well.
All-Stars.
with Bowser's Fury, which was absolutely fantastic. What was that, Matt?
If they had 3D All-Stars, like the triple pack where they stopped.
Yeah, but I don't know if that really counts though,
Still
right?
ports, isn't it?
It's still
oh, there was
ports.
the Paper Mario one as well.
Yeah.
Color Splash, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, that was the
one
Wii U
before.
version. Origami King was the
Origami
yeah.
King, that's it. Yeah, no, I'd have to
But also,
agree.
there's been a shitload of Pokemon games as well. I mean, we don't care so much about that, but there have been those that never came
I was
out.
going to
Yeah.
say the Xenoblades as well. I mean, we've had a port of Xenoblade Chronicles, but then 2 and 3.
Fire Emblems.
Fire Emblems.
That's true.
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah.
those you're right. I mean, what Sean said, it's just like these have been nice to have things, like these extra ones that have come from Wii U, but they haven't defined the
Defined
console.
it, yeah,
Not at
totally.
all.
So I'm sorry, Tom Thumb, you owe your mate £25.
Yeah.
That's a lot of £20.
So
No, it's not.
if you don't,
That's £20 and a £5.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks.
that's the mathematics. Kurt Lewin says just a quick question.
Mathematics.
Quick question this week.
Baby.
If James was to start a social media platform, what would he call it?
Brilliant.
.com.
What would I call it? I hate being put on the spot like this.
Wait, this is way too
You're
long.
so good at it.
Chat dump. There you go.
Chat dump. Yes.
Done.
And every
I'm gonna buy a domain
post is
now.
called a dump.
Have you dumped?
Yeah.
Yeah. We done.
Yeah,
Oh man,
I'm
it's
gonna-
an
that's a dump,
amazing dump that I just did.
I'll redump your dump.
Yeah, I'm gonna redump. I'm gonna redump it.
Your dump.
I just blocked your dump. I just redumped it.
I have a private dump. Send me a private dump.
Can you reply to my dump with a dump? Can you see?
Why are you following
You can follow me on what was it? Chat dump.
Chat dump.
You follow me on chat dump, and instead of the @ next to your username, it's the shit emoji. God.
Instead of DM me, you can dump me. You know, just
DD me, direct dump.
Okay, really.
Yeah, double D me, be fine. Marie Mendieta says, "Dear TCGS Colourful Language, we have new weekly listeners, group drone shots, and Matt was even recognised at a Nando's. With this meteoric rise, we'll soon be seeing your review quotes across store shelves. On the back of which game boxes do you wish a quote of yours would have actually been featured? Keep up the excellent work."
Any of them. Any of them.
Mine would be probably Power Simulator, where I just said it is the work of the devil. Don't fucking play it. If that was on the back of the box for that, I'll be well happy.
This, as an answer, this is 100% cheating. But the closest I feel we've come is the fact that every time I talk about a new Walkabout mini golf course, the devs always seem to quote tweet us, and they'll always like.
Oh, they do that.
And the quote will just be like me saying like it's fucking brilliant or whatever.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. There's that. Yeah, I had. I was so like. So we were one of the first to pick up on Yoku's Island Express, right? The chatter was quite like quiet about it, and some people have been in touch to say, you know, thanks for talking about it so early on, and you know, obviously we didn't have a massive impact or anything, but I think it was just nice that we picked up on it straight away. They did like a review quote video with like loads of review, and I just thought, I wonder if one of our quotes. That's the closest that I thought that we might have sneaked on there.
Yeah, I would love to see a quote in a quote, and I can
TCGS.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
I want. Yeah.
How good would that be? How have we not? I mean,
well, TCGS.
I mean, you literally have the power of doing that.
That's true. Yeah, come on, Matt, sort us out.
Well, yeah, but what? For one, yeah, I'll do that. I'll tell you.
What's the new game?
What?
What's the new game?
What new game?
Just do it for Zombieland.
Well, you're not allowed to talk about it.
For Zombieland, and the quote can be from me. It's a shame we can't talk about this on the podcast, but because it's actually pretty good.
Oh yeah, no, you're talking about Forever Pool that came out last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Why can't you talk about that?
No, we can. I can.
Well, what's it called?
Called Forever Pool. It's from the people that made Forever Darts and Forever Cornhole. We made that one as well.
Forever Pool is just like playing pool with Jimmy White. There you go.
In the
Put that on your next trailer.
No, I'll talk to the team and get that done. Yeah.
You are the team.
You should hire us.
You're head of this stuff.
It's different them titles because they're not.
It's different, is it?
Because they're Forever's games that we made them. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
You want to do like the Devil in Me that I was playing on stream, and like where Dark Pictures people, whoever it is who developed it's Supermassive Games, right?
Brilliant. Well, this is a good start to get your fucking thing on the box.
It's Supermassive Games, but it's actually Matt made it.
Yeah, but no, they did that thing where they released like a list of all like the what's it called, reviews from different companies, and they're all like, it's all like,
James, are you alright?
No, I'm fine. It's all like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. But you look at the things, and it's just like, this is like, websites I've not heard of.
I was going to say, one thing I've seen more and more is they'll just get a quote from some fucker on Twitter. And it'll literally be someone with like 10 followers. If you bother to, because it'll have the Twitter username or whatever, and you look it up, and it's like, this is just some pleb on Twitter. This isn't, what the fuck?
I think that's
this is the best game I've ever played, and it's like,
I think that's
cool,
quite funny. It just shows how stupid those things are in the first place. I love the ones that are clearly taken from like the middle of a sentence in there where they use it. And you go IGN. Interesting.
Funny.
But the full quote is, this game's not very interesting. Why have you taken it?
I think my actual answer is if I could have a quote on the Two Human box, because obviously, it's a relevant game with us talking about God of War. And the box quote would be, if this came out 8 years in the future when we all have smartphones, you wouldn't all complain about the death animation that takes 2 minutes to play.
Oh man, could you imagine if FIFA put Chet Roivas' quote on the box? A puzzle game for cunts at the bottom of it.
What was his Dark Souls one where he's like, anyone who likes this should be forced to join the army or something?
Oh God, man, that sounds like a Chet quote. I mean, I could text him in a week and find out what that is for you. That sounds like a check.
Wasn't it? He was trying to do like the Asylum Demon, and he was just like, "Fuck this!" I think he got into it in the end, didn't he? I think, but
yeah. He liked it in the end, but it took him. Well, I mean, we've all been through that hurdle with our first Souls game, right? Yeah. Fuck this! This is bollocks. Everyone's an idiot. And then you come back to it, and you're like, "Oh, okay, this is me now for about 100 hours."
Yeah. My answer to this is any game. It would be amazing to get a TCGS Crow on that. I don't know how we can do that, but
let us know.
That's the goal.
Maybe you work in marketing for a video game company. Maybe you can help us out in that way. Get in touch, please.
Maybe you can do that.
What we need is for Matt to become a VTuber. We'll say he's left the show and been replaced with a VTuber.
The fuck is a VTuber?
Oh, mate.
You
never seen a VTuber?
I don't know what this is. What is it?
No.
I mean, I'm not surprised that James doesn't know. But
no.
I mean, I'm heading towards James, right, in this regard. I don't know anything anymore. Go on.
So a VTuber is when people use, like... whenever they stream or sometimes YouTube stuff or whatever, so they're on a camera, but that is like rigged to like a CG character, usually like an anime character.
Oh, I've seen these. Yeah, I've seen these.
So we pretend Matt's left, you replace him with a VTuber that's actually still him, and then he can talk about how good his games are, and we can use the quotes on. You can use the quotes on the box.
Sorted. I think that's called fraud, which Matt has already said on this podcast.
Actually,
he's bang up for.
I now think fraud's bad. So
you now think fraud's bad. Okay,
maybe that's your box quote.
What a character arc this show you've been on in this show, Matt.
At the beginning, people were like, "Oh yeah, he loves." Now he hates fraud. Wow, I've been on a real journey
on the old fraud.
Growth.
Lee Morris says, "Good evening, copter pilots. You have unlimited funds and access to a time machine. If you could have any band or artist who are alive today play at your wedding, who would you choose? I presume you won't be selfish and will arrive at the decision with your partner. Remember, it's not a gig. Thanks."
Hang on.
What's the merit of... Go on, I think I know what you're going to ask.
Okay, so you've got unlimited funds and access to a time machine.
Yeah.
But then it says it has to be a band or artist who are alive today.
Yeah.
What do I need the time machine for?
What merit is there in the time machine?
Yeah.
Pointless.
That's just go back to their peak.
That's not the bonus. It's not actually related to the question.
So I could go back to when Hanson was good.
We're going to throw in a free time machine.
So this is really hard. If I'm not being selfish, it's almost impossible because there's not many bands that Joe and I both like.
So we've got some real-time follow-up because Lee's actually in the chat saying they meant a time machine to go back to your own wedding.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That makes total sense.
Can't go back.
There's always a real.
You can't go back and get like all of the Beatles and then come to the.
Yeah.
So
you're in there.
Yeah.
So like the Arctic Monkeys, I think are the only band that Joe and I both like.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I'd have them play at a wedding. Like I think Blur would be better at the wedding. Could you imagine that? Really, when everyone's drunk at the end. Good up.
Oh, you know, Arctic Monkeys. They got loads of like singable songs, and they like the slow stuff.
I've got the same problem. Like Chen hates all the bands I like, so it's like it wouldn't work.
What sort of music does Chen listen to?
Well, mostly stuff from China, and it's like, it's.
Have you got any that you're into? Chinese artists?
Not really. No, it's
okay.
It's tough, isn't it?
It's tough of the Chinese artists.
It's just the style of music she listens to. I'm not that into, you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
I really struggle with the stuff with Joe, especially. I mean, some of the stuff I've been listening to recently is a joke, and I can completely understand why she doesn't like it. You know, Black Midi and stuff like that. Where it's just like, and I'm going, this is really good, and Joe's going, you're an idiot, and I want you out of my life.
Yeah. It's like the things that New listens to that I don't really like. I can basically ignore them. Whereas I know the things I listen to that she doesn't like are like actively irritating or stressful.
That's the problem I've got as well. Because Chen's always like, it's too loud. It's like too.
Joe's like Joe can, you know, she was watching Westlife last night at Wembley. You know, they televised that over the weekend. She was watching that, and I'm like, I can have it on in the background. It doesn't really bother me at all. It's like not offensive. And then it's right now my music. Fucking hell, Dave, what are you doing?
I mean, I guess in terms of bands that New and I both like, it would have to be either Everything or Placebo. But again, I don't know if they'd work as wedding bands. If it was placebo, I'd be like, can you just play the old stuff? You mainly just play the old stuff. That'd be
First 2 albums, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you're with the everything. That's the closest we've come, isn't it? To making this one possible out of all these.
All we need is the time machine.
Well, when it comes to renewing your vows, Sean, you can do it.
Yeah.
And I suppose. It's James
fan
has to
of
do
the
the
show,
renewal.
aren't they?
Yeah,
The
James still needs to do his renewal of vows. We can make this happen.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do this, aren't we?
You're a stag do, James.
We're going to get everything to play at James's
Stop
renewal of
denying our
vows that he doesn't
stag
really want to do.
We already planned it on a previous show.
Oh dear.
I'm excited.
Should we move on?
Yes.
Jack Mulder says, is the pre-stream highlights video available anywhere outside of the streams? Every time I watch it brightens my day, and I could try and watch James open that door in heavy rain on a loop. It's on our YouTube page, isn't it? It's on our...
I think it is.
Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure there are several different versions of James struggling to open a door on YouTube as well. I think there's a cut down version. There's the full version. Yeah, we milked that. When that happened.
I've done 2 separate highlights videos, and they're both on YouTube. I think there's like a playlist called the best of TCGS, and it's on there on the front page. You can't miss it.
Yeah. Last one. MD Krabuffs says, when you were a kid, did you eat the crusts on your sandwich or not?
Of course.
I was always a crust eater.
Yeah, I was alright. Never saw any issue with crusts.
Yeah. The kids are getting better at that as well. Like early on, they were like they hated it, but they're getting better at that as well now. Really?
Yeah. I know. I either have to give them to the dog, or I'll look at him and be like, there's actually a little bit of jam on that. Maybe I'll
just put that in the mouth. Yeah.
That's it.
Well, that's that one then, isn't it?
That is that one.
Socials, Matthew.
Yes, this Thursday, Bell's Bedtime Builds is back after the success of last week and the one you did previously. But I can't pronounce this car, Sean, but you're finishing off the what exactly?
The Koenigsegg. We're assuming it's Jesko, not Jesko. I don't know. But yeah, it's the hottest new thing on the unintentional ASMR circuit. So have a look.
Kai started last Thursday. If you missed last Thursday's stream, it's on the YouTube channel. Search for TCGS on YouTube. But yeah, Bell's Bedtime Builds. That'll be on Thursday at 9, I assume. Or are you doing a bit later, Sean, because it's a bedtime thing, or still 9?
No, I'll stick with 9 because it turns out it took me like 2 hours to build half of a car. It's not particularly big. So I'll start at 9. Yeah.
So yeah, it's Thursday at 9. Friday at 9. Last Friday, obviously James very excited and planned to play Inscription. Planned to go back to that. A game that's had so many accolades over the last couple of years. But no, decided to put a stop on that and go back to a series he's always loved, the Dark Pictures Anthology. Their new game, The Devil in Me.
It was going to be the good one.
About that, actually, what you've been playing.
Yeah, I forgot to talk about it. I mean, I was hoping it was going to be the good one. And to be honest with you, it started off pretty well. Like the pre sort of credit stuff was actually pretty fun, and they had just the right side of it being ridiculous and it being quite funny because of that. But then they went back to their old formula for the rest of it, and it was like, this is not very good. It's a shame. Like they were really hamming it up in the beginning, and it was great fun, and then it went rubbish.
I mean, I think the fact you didn't like the previous one, that everyone said, "Oh yeah, this is basically the sequel to Until Dawn." They've done it again. It's brilliant. I got really high scores, and you thought that was not good at all, right? So if you didn't like
good.
Left, right. But anyway, if you missed last week's streams on YouTube, and you're back for more on Friday, James, is that correct?
Yeah. I'm here's the bitter end, and I've heard there's going to be season 2 now of this as well. So strap in.
That is Friday at 9, straight after the England game, which starts at 7, which we're not streaming. But
that's not our thing.
That's not for us. That's more BBC or ITV. But James straight after. If you miss it live, go to YouTube, search for TCGS, and you can find that. If you've got Amazon Prime and you've got a Twitch account, connect them accounts, and you've got Twitch Prime Gaming, and they give you 1 sub every month. Plenty of you done it tonight. Tri-State has gone ridiculous and given all some donate loads of subs. But if you got your account, connect your account, you get a free sub to give away to our channel. Please go over to our channel and give it to us. We really appreciate it. The website's tcgs.co for everything else. And our Patreon is patreon.com/TCGS for exclusive podcasts, bonus shows, you name it.
And we're on Hive.
We're on Hive. Don't do much of it, but we're on Hive.
No, I think I'm just going to do World Cup Wednesdays on my own fucking channel.
What are you doing?
I think I'll just do it on my own fucking channel, Matt.
I do it on Wednesday.
I think I probably. I mean, you didn't even fucking ask.
Well, you got a big mouth. You can tell me.
I've got a big mouth, have I?
Are you doing it on
Now he's
Wednesday?
insulting you,
Big
Dave.
mouth.
What is
I know,
going
it's
on?
fucking hell. Why
Wednesday?
don't you just say sorry? I don't consider you part of the team.
Wednesday, yes or no?
Sorry, your streams don't count, David.
Are you streaming on Wednesday?
Sorry, David. I don't want to plug your shit.
No, why didn't you add it to the list?
Because you do this. Did you add yours to the list, Sean?
I added mine, sorry.
Yes.
Did you do yours, James?
Of course
Did
not.
he?
Listen, I don't know if I am doing it actually. Thank you so much for living it. We love you all, and we will catch you next week for some more video game chit chat. Take it easy this week and enjoy the foot biff. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.